Recording's going. Okay, so welcome to session 9 of the Arcadia Chronicles. The only two announcements that I have is, as I just said, this particular quote unquote episode might be a two-parter, or you guys might blow on through it. I really don't know. The second announcement is next week we may or may not be having a session. It'll really depend on your guys' availability, since that is, Thanksgiving kind of time, and I don't want people blowing off family unless it's, the kind of family you do want to blow off. So, unless anyone has any announcements of their own, I think we're ready for the captain's log.
All right, Captain's log, start at 48612.1. Despite our best efforts, there was no one to save on Psi Omega 2. No official records exist of the station, save for the mission reports of the Arcadia's crew. Thankfully, this collective consciousness reality effect has not transferred to our own crew. In the 3 weeks since, we have charted several sectors, some of which contain useful mineral deposits. Additionally, the further into the expanse we travel, the worse the eddies become. This is why I have called a meeting with my senior staff. Well, that of course, but also to discuss our new guest aboard the Arcadia, Andromeda.
All right. So, sure enough, we begin our session with all of you in the conference room. And pretty much every senior officer is present, save Monday. So Dore's there representing medical, Ujace's there representing security and tactical, and then obviously Maddock, you're with engineering, Rochelle from ops, Crowley because you're the first officer, etc., etc. So I'm just going to pretty much just open it up for you guys to run your own meeting, and I'll interject with Dore and Ujace as is relevant.
Well, Captain, if you have no...
So as many of you may have noticed, it has been 3 weeks with Andromeda on board. This is because she has requested to stay aboard the Arcadia with us. I know that she wants to find a way to make herself useful, and we've discussed a few options with her. But I would like to hear your experience with Andromeda.
Well, personally, I think she would be a good asset to the crew. She seems to have a rather skillful time adapting to our medical knowledge. Would you agree with that, Doctor?
Well, yes. I think it's probably safe for me to say that if I were to give her any more access to medical records, her knowledge might even dwarf my own.
I would say she is a guest in our galaxy, and she'd probably be in good hands if she wishes to stay aboard our vessel to learn about everything. I would hate for her to have to be encountered by any other species, such as the Romulans, or the Ferengi. They would just exploit her. At least we can be open-minded and let her learn about our part of the universe.
Commander Crowley, have you noticed any negative reactions among the crew to her presence, or has that been generally positive?
As far as I've been feeling, everyone seems to be fine. They're a little taken back when they first encounter her. But that's to be expected. Most people are like that one day. And I look to such Ijessa like when they meet a Klingon for the first time.
She just kind of nods affirmatively.
I don't think there's going to be any threats from anyone. I don't think anyone feels hostility towards her, because if they do, they shouldn't be in Starfleet. After all, we are out here to find new life, and we bumped into one. Literally.
All right. Well, unless anyone else has anything on the matter of Andromeda, I suppose I'd like to open the floor to Rochelle and Maddock to discuss the deep space eddies.
Well, Captain, I've been monitoring the Eddies, as is stellar cartography and astrometrics, and starting to notice. I don't know if a pattern is correct. It's there's a certain uniformity to the eddies as they form, which I hate to speculate, but it does seem unnatural. I don't have enough data to really make any conclusions at this point, but it's definitely a concern now, I think.
Is there anything we can do to alter our mission parameters to help you study these?
Well, I mean, they do seem to be forming in front of us as we travel, so it's not as though we don't have plenty of samples to go on. It's just gathering the data and analyzing it, and I mean, I don't know how much resources we want to take away from astrometrics to focus specifically on this problem, but any extra focus we can get, I'm sure, would cut down the amount of time it would take to learn, if there's anything to learn in this regard, what we need to know to maybe pinpoint an origin.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, as a scientific research vessel, and the eddies being the most prominent astrological phenomenon in the Shackleton Expanse, we would be remiss not to make it our top priority as far as our research is concerned.
No, I definitely agree that it's a high priority, but there's so much here in the Shackleton Expanse we haven't encountered before that I would hate to focus solely on the eddies. But we can retask astrometrics to devote a bit more time to studying the eddies, and I think that would be good.
Commander Crowley, do you believe that resources is your department? Do you think we could do that?
That could be done, yes. I was actually a few things in mind, but I'll gladly wait till be the end of the meeting and go over some of my ideas with you and everyone else.
Oh, that's excellent. Lieutenant Maddock, is there anything we can do to increase the readiness of the Arcadia as we encounter more eddies in the unfortunate event that we fail to miss one in our navigation?
As of right now, I'm not 100% sure. However, a couple days back, we stopped at a planet where we picked up some chromium isotopes. Using the isotopes, I was able to coat a microprobe and send it into one of the eddies, and it was able to resist any changes, and it seemed that it was able to stop the eddy from damaging it. My belief is that it's probably a similar thing that happened to the first Enterprise whenever it went after the Xindi and they came across their anomalies. Once they coated their ship with that substance, the anomalies stopped affecting their systems and harming the ship.
What would the process be of outfitting larger probes or the Arcadia herself in a chromium or other protective barrier?
Well, first I would like to take this in steps. We've come across several deposits. As far as I know, we'd be the closest ones. As I said, there's one planet a couple days back. I don't know if we want to backtrack, but the first deposit we came across that had a significant amount to it is still about a month away from Narinda Station. So there's a possibility that they may not be able to task someone to finding more information about it. If we do happen to go back to that planet, or if we happen across another deposit, I would like to do a probe. If that works out, then do a shuttle, and then worry about trying to do the rest of the ship.
If we're working with chromium, I do think we should take some extra safety precautions. We do have several Vulcan crew members, and Vulcans are allergic to chromium. It can cause them significant damage.
That's an excellent note. Would you yourself be allergic to chromium as well?
I'd actually have to defer to the good doctor. I don't know. I've never encountered him myself previously.
Dore kind of thinks to himself for a moment, and he looks between Crowley and Rochelle, and he finally says, as far as I'm aware, the divergence between the Romulans and the Vulcans is enough that you should be okay, Ensign Rochelle, but Commander, I believe you, even being half Vulcan, would still at least have some of the adverse effects.
I think I would be affected by it, yes.
Perhaps we can look into some alternatives to chromium. I'm sure other vessels have safely transversed Zindi space since the first Enterprise. Perhaps there's... obviously, we're dealing with a different astrological phenomenon, but...
The problem with Zindi Safe was solved.
Yeah.
Out of character.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
The issue with the Zindi space was actually fixed in Enterprise. So
Right,
no
it's
concern.
it's been a while. Okay.
It's been very recently for me. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't know either.
Also out of character, I'm pretty sure that whenever it's in its liquid state, actually I could probably say this in character. Whenever chromium's in its liquid state, Captain, that's whenever it affects the Vulcans. But I'm sure DeRay can correct me if I'm wrong on this. Once it's applied, I believe it shouldn't affect Vulcans anymore.
Dore kind of chips in and with a nod of his head, and he says, that's mostly correct. Obviously, prolonged physical contact with chromium is obviously not advised for Vulcans, but as long as they don't go and take a bath in it, there are certain measures we can take to insulate the members of our crew that happen to be Vulcan.
Doctor, could that mean if we take enough safety precautions that we could possibly outfit the Arcadia with solid chromium in a way that would not adversely affect our Vulcan crew members?
Well, if I understand what Maddock is proposing, he would be, or we would be, coating the exterior of the ship in a thin or perhaps otherwise a quote-unquote coat of paint. As long as we don't send Vulcans out there without Evo suits, I think we'll be okay. The problem would become if we started coating the interior corridors with this chromium space.
Would that also be necessary to, and we would need to, I assume, get more data on this, but is it possible that would not be necessary to do the interior as well as the exterior?
As far as I'm aware, the chromium should keep the eddies out, seeing as most of them are outside of the ship. If we start having them appear inside the ship, though, I would say put it on major systems. And then that would probably be the extent of interior work.
Excellent. Do we have enough chromium on board to run tests with standard probes?
Not enough, Captain. I had enough to do 2 or 3 micro probes, but a large scale, a regular sized probe, I would need more of the chromium.
Are we able to replicate it?
As far as I'm aware, no.
All right. I'm willing to go back to the planet from a day ago to collect more, but I'd like to do an environmental impact survey beforehand, so that we aren't harming this planet in a significant way.
I can.
So it's at this point that Ujesa finally kind of raises her hand a little bit to get the captain's attention.
Yes, Sergeant.
Well, I have been thinking about how to say this in a more Federation way, but I've decided it would be perhaps better if I approached this like a true Klingon. To put it bluntly, this alien that we are now playing host to, I fully believe that they could very well take over the ship if they put their mind to it. We've already seen how fast they can assimilate information and how long they can survive in hostile conditions. Short of letting me shoot a phaser at them or stabbing them with a dagger, we have absolutely no idea what sort of defenses or armaments that suit might be containing. It honestly may not even be possible for us to put them in the brig or behind a force field. In fact, I'm quite willing to bet that they'll be able to walk through them without issue. How else could they have penetrated the galactic barrier? Granted, I'm no scientist, but I view any entity capable of such a feat to be a clear and present danger. And again, speaking bluntly, if it were up to me, I'd shove them out the nearest airlock and not look back.
Well, I'm glad to know your tactical analysis. I don't believe we'll be shoving anyone out of an airlock this minute.
Understood. But I felt it was remiss of me not to mention it, at the very least.
It would be unwise for us not to consider, of course, the implications of Andromeda's presence on our ship, given her comparative advancement to ours. That is, in fact, why I asked you, Sergeant Ujesa, to run that analysis.
Indeed, sir. I actually have a full report, which I am able to give you after this meeting for your perusal.
Yes, I'd like you to make that available for the entire senior staff.
Of course, sir.
That said, we've not detected any hostile intent from Andromeda, and Commander Crowell, I don't believe you've sensed empathically any either. But we should always be ready for the worst, whether or not we expect the best or not. We should always be ready for unfortunate turns.
All right.
All that said,
Go ahead.
all that said, if anyone here has any suggestions for improving the security and safety of our ship, I am very willing to listen to those suggestions.
So right then, there's a flash of light, and across the table from you, Captain, appears an individual which I think needs no introduction. And
my pad.
he just kind of looks around and says, "Oh, you humanoids and your preoccupation of security and danger. It's almost whimsical in a way."
Q, right?
He just kind of lazily looks in your direction and says, "Oh, good. You do know who I am. That makes things so much easier."
It's because we're concerned with our security, Q. That's why I know who you are.
And yet you've picked up a new pet without inspecting them very thoroughly. Oh, though of course your pathetic instruments can't detect any true danger, so perhaps it's not entirely your fault.
Do you have a point, Q?
Oh, I have several.
Against my better judgment, I'm willing to listen to them, Q.
Q just kind of sighs and says, "You know, when I meet with Picard, there's always a bit of a more rapport. I expected more from you, Captain. I wish to, break some bread with you, settle the scores, as it were. But if you are going to be complacent, I suppose there's no sense in me darting around the issue."
I just hold up my hand, 2 fingers up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, excuse me, Q. I still have to go for my points. You can go after. I just looked at the captain.
The Q just kind of stares at Crowley, but as long as Crowley continues to ignore him, he'll let Crowley go first.
I love that.
So, Captain, as I had mentioned, I would like to have gone after everyone else had a chance to talk, and I do have some points I would like to touch upon, and our guest can politely wait.
Proceed, Commander.
Alright. First thing I want to do is I have asked Ensign Rouge and Chief Gadget to be our new morale officers. After the incident with the Ghost Station, I have felt it is good to have activities either weekly or every couple of weeks to get the crew to be more relaxed. This should help with the concerns and worries I've been feeling from the crew after that mission. Not gonna lie, I've been feeling a bit of that myself, and I think they'll be up for it. And I'd also like to set up a third shift. We will be operating Alpha, Beta, and Gamma. With the shorter shifts, more downtime should help with crew to relax, relieve their stress, and if they so wish, they can either start half a shift early or stay half a shift later, but they cannot do 2 shifts.
Alright, and just staring right at Q, I'll answer the Commander. Yes, I think it'd be a good thing to work on our stress right now.
I'd also like to have Matic, if possible, to pull any components that he feels that would need to be repaired before their scheduled maintenance over.
As of right now, we're having to replace at least a quarter of the sensors every other week. Unless this chromium thing works, that's how we're going to be dealing with them. We are able to replicate the sensor parts. However, I would be hesitant to start pulling parts that don't need fixing until they are closer to needing repair. Just because we have to dedicate so much time to just keep the sensors running,
And
just so we know we're not going to run into eddies.
And it's right then that Q does interject, and he says, well, if you humans had gotten the hint by now, I wouldn't have to keep creating eddies in your path.
One moment, Q. I've also set up some combat drills that we could do for different shifts, hand-to-hand training, and also some space combat along the holodeck. And the last note I have here is I am going to be doing crew evaluations. I would like to have the counselor and Ujesa assist me in this if they have free time. I would like for the department heads to send me information on their subordinates, anyone that they believe is in deserve of accommodation, recognition, and also anyone that they have issues with not meeting their full potential. And I think that's it, Captain.
Well,
I slowly turn to look to Q.
So you're responsible for these eddies, Q, you say?
Oh, well, some of them anyway. Of course, I'm not responsible for every single spatial anomaly you Starfleet types seem to run into these days. It's almost like you're bloodhounds. I mean, you put a spatial anomaly in a sector of space and you run straight into it every time.
I think we're just trying to expand our horizons.
Well, as, I guess, quaint as that is for you humanoids, I'll be, I guess, as your lovely Klingon pet has said, I'll be blunt. And he moves from being, kind of his feet up on the table to where he's actually sitting down properly, and he says, I don't think humans are quite ready for what lies ahead of you in the expanse.
And is that your job to decide, Q?
Well, of course, I'm the Continuum's expert on humanity.
I just raise a hand with Trill, Hybrid, Klingon, Hybrid, Nobulan.
Let's not mince words. You know full well that when I say human, I really mean any of you humanoid types.
Why are you here? You're trying to protect us? Are you acting as our guardian now?
Well, I'm sure you're all aware of how the Enterprise and Jean-Luc Picard, Mon Capitan, I showed them the danger of the Borg.
You introduced us to the Borg. You brought that threat to us.
Semantics. Had I not shown you, so many bad things might have happened.
Weren't they other side of the galaxy from us? Plenty good distance away. That way we didn't have to deal with them. But, you and being a Q and all that.
He takes a good appraising look of Maddock and finally replies, "Perhaps if I had introduced you to Borg of 100 years ago, you might have been right, but they have this pesky little thing called transwarp that lets them go pretty much anywhere they want in the galaxy. So it really doesn't matter where you are, they can get to you if they really wanted to."
But they had no idea about us until you.
Not to sound too mean, but I hope the Borg one day assimilate you kind.
Oh, that would be the day indeed. And then Q will look straight to the captain, and he'll say, "I, of course, will stop putting these eddies in your way if you think you're up to it, but I do have another reason for being here."
I'm listening, Q.
Your new pet, I believe you're referring to her as Andromeda, and what a simple name that is. I need to inspect her to make sure something didn't slip through the barrier that shouldn't have.
The barrier. That's supposed... Is it more or less to keep us... It's not to keep us inside, it's to keep something out, isn't it?
Little column A, little column B, but really you need not concern yourself with the barrier.
Are you telling me the Q Continuum is afraid of what's out there? Beyond the galactic barrier?
Oh, no. Q can't be scared. We simply feel that there are certain entities or individuals that would be better outside of the Milky Way.
Do you include yourself in that?
Oh, this one has jokes. I like it.
Q, I will not have you harassing the guests aboard my ship.
Well, unfortunately, Captain, you have little choice in the issue. But I'll do you a solid. For letting me inspect this visitor from another galaxy, I'll give you something that should have been given to you a long time ago. And then, right then, he snaps his fingers, and everyone, besides the captain and Q and Andromeda, will be all at once transported to the bridge, which I'll get to in a moment. So the conference room is, at the moment, just Q, the captain, and Andromeda. And Andromeda, rightly so, looks extremely confused as to why she's here. And she just kind of looks at Q, then looks at the captain, and kind of says, "Why am I here, and who is this?"
Q, what have you done with my crew?
"Oh, you need not worry. They're simply on your bridge, merely a few steps away."
Andromeda, this is Q. A trickster.
A trickster? Okay. And in kind of a motion of someone inspecting like a fruit at the market, Q rises from his seat and begins circling Andromeda, and every once in a while, like trying to grab the side of her head and look to side, like he's inspecting her for something. And Andromeda, to her credit, seems to be somewhat composed, but is very obviously going to sound a little distressed when she says, "Should he be doing this? Is this a human thing?"
Q is not human.
I see. Okay. And after a few awkward minutes, Q finally steps back and says, very well. I don't see any cause of concern. You can keep this one. But I think you'll find that the farther you go into Expanse, the more challenges that will await you. But don't say I didn't warn you. And then he'll snap his fingers, and all of you will then be on the bridge, which I will move you to in one moment. Alright, so I gotta copy that token. So all of you appear on the bridge. And probably the most relevant and obvious change is that this bridge is brand spanking new. The design is completely different, and it resembles some of the designs that were being thrown around for the refit while the Arcadia was going under a refit. They just never got around to doing it. But now it seems that the refit bridge has been installed by Q.
Oh, Tidy-matic.
Yeah, I had to. There you go. You should all be here. Oh, and Dory too. Let me throw Dory on here too.
Tiny Dory.
All right. So go ahead.
I like to turn to Andromeda and say, I apologize for what just happened. I will explain later.
Sure. She looks around the bridge. This is actually kind of nice.
I also looked at her. Like, are you okay?
I'm a tad confused, and that's an understatement of the year. But I appear and feel fine.
Attic and Rochelle, I have to ask the obvious question. How is the ship?
Sorry, Captain, all my presets have changed. One moment. And Rochelle will examine the ship.
Okay. Roll me a insight plus science, and the ship will assist with sensors plus science. And this is a difficulty 0 task, so you have all the momentum in the world possible here.
How would I assist? I have the talent of Starship Expert.
I think you would have to do it as a command type task, like directing Rochelle to start somewhere in particular. But I'd allow it. For you, that would be I guess a control plus command, maybe.
Okay.
Is either my maybe sensors or computers focus going to be applicable?
I'll let you have computers. Cool. So really, you guys are set up to get a lot of momentum here.
Nope.
Was the ship?
And I sure did not.
The ship was
doing science or engineering?
Sensors plus science. All right. So 3 momentum.
Reroll that 16.
Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead and reroll that 16. We'll see if it gets you any more. It does.
There we go.
You're at 4 momentum.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rochelle, you do a preliminary scan of the ship, and everything checks out. The new bridge, as it were, seems to be just fine. It's not violating any spatial dimensions. It seems to have been hooked up properly. Well, perhaps even better than properly. Almost like Utopia Planitia wasn't doing a half-assed job for once in their life.
Has anything else about the ship changed, or is it just the bridge that's...
Just the bridge.
Near as I can tell, Captain, everything seems to be in order, perhaps even better than in order. Yeah, it apparently only the bridge has changed, but everything's hooked up and working, except for my presets.
Has our location changed?
It has not.
No, we're still the same area of space we were before.
Who knew that Q was an interior decorator?
All of you kind of hear a disembodied chuckle, but Q does not appear himself.
I am making a fist with my left hand, and I'm squeezing my thumb from my right hand into the palm as I'm making this fist.
Okay. Yeah.
Sir, I would suggest we scan the area, see if these eddies are really gone, and continue forward.
I agree, but we'll be continuing backwards to the planet with the chromium. We're going to continue our journey as if Q had never shown.
Very well.
All right. So Rochelle, I'd like you to roll me a reason plus science, and the ship can assist with sensors plus science, and this will be at a difficulty of 3, and it will succeed at cost.
Will this be reduced to 2 because of our advanced sensors?
It will indeed.
And what is it that I'm doing specifically?
This is both a scan of the surrounding space and a scan of the planet that you might be turning around to.
Okay. So I'm gonna assume my sensor operations is going to apply.
Uh-huh.
Cool. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, buddy.
So I think you now have 5 momentum. Very good. Oh, no. Yeah, you got 5. Numbers are hard.
Actually, that would max out, because we were at 4. That was...
We're at 4. It was difficulty of 3. We can reroll the ship's one with my technical expertise.
It was reduced to 2.
Yeah. So we were at 4. 3 successes would be 5.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Math.
Yeah, I was say we're all having problems with math today. If it's not names, it's math. So, of course... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, we can reroll the ship's die with my technical expertise if we want.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, it couldn't hurt.
And it could hurt, though. It's just less likely to hurt.
5 momentum's enough. All right.
Okay. So, Rochelle, obviously you will be able to pick up the planet in question a day behind you. But you're also picking up a different phenomenon, which is slightly interesting. You see that there are strengthening tetryon emissions emanating from a nearby system that is currently tagged as iota mu 4. And kind of as a out-of-character sidebar here, tetryons occur naturally only in subspace, so the fact that you're picking this up is rather strange and maybe worth investigating. Also, as a kind of side note here, tetryons are inherently difficult to track with any precision because they have random momentum. So if you guys do decide to check this out, you would have to come up with some sort of innovative way to either apply subspace theory or otherwise scan subspace if you wanted accurate readings of these tetryons.
All right, and I'm assuming this is not our first scan of what was it, iota mu 4?
Yes. So this tetryon activity is very new.
Okay, and we'll communicate that to the bridge.
I've got some experience with subspace scanning. I can try to assist our sensor checks here.
Okay, and so sorry. Do we need to? I'm still half asleep. Worked late last night. So we need to enter. We need to scan subspace specifically?
It's one of those things where you either need to, in out-of-game terms, you either need to create an advantage, which will allow you to scan subspace in a different way than you usually do, or you need to take an increased difficulty for not doing so. It's basically one of those things where you could spend the momentum to create advantage if you so wished, but you can normally scan just at an increased difficulty.
Okay.
I'm happy to spend that momentum.
Yeah, me too. Captain, I think I might be able to reconfigure a probe to get more accurate subspace readings on these tetryon emissions. Shouldn't be take me very long, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, I'll help you with that. In the meantime, Commander, you have the bridge. Do we have to leave the bridge to do this?
Nah, you don't have to leave the bridge. Someone in engineering or someone on the science team could certainly delegate, but just as a point of order, I will say Dorian and Andromeda are kind of lurking in the back of the bridge, not really sure if they should be here still, or...
When I see them, I'm going to pipe up and say, Captain, I have a R&D project that I wanted to speak to you about regarding Andromeda and some of the work I've been doing with Dure.
Look over at them just to kind of get a clue on what he's talking about.
Okay.
Do they respond at all to his question?
So Dory kind of nods and he says, yes, I was going to bring it up before we were interrupted, but Manic and I have been working on a way to try and reverse engineer Andromeda's nanites for applications such as bioneural gel pack repair, emergency medicine, things of that nature. Hopefully you don't mind me saying so, Lieutenant, but I think it's going to take quite a bit of time to figure out how to keep the nanites alive outside of Andromeda, let alone to get them what we want them to do.
Lieutenant, do you believe that these nanites can help in the present situation?
I mean, if there's always a chance, because I'm not sure what all these nanites can do. But in order to make them viable outside of her suit, it's gonna take some. It's gonna take some luck and some skill.
I just want to look at both of them and look at Andromeda like, Andromeda, are you okay with this? Is this something you want to do?
I have no problem with it. I don't have any problems donating some of my blood and some of my nanites for the pursuit of science. I just wish I had greater insight for you.
Lieutenant Manic, if you believe that is the best use of your time, then please proceed.
Well, here's the danger in it. The working theory that I have right now is once we get the nanites out of her body, once we get the nanites out of her body, they typically immediately die. We have very little time to do anything. I believe that if I were to take some warp plasma from and then highly radiate it, and then redline the engines, and then take that warp plasma from the redlined engines and put it in with the radiated warp plasma, that would give a similar aspect to what her suit is doing for her. And then I could just wean off the nanites to operate in regular blood. But I don't know if now is a good time to be, irradiating plasma and redlining the engines. Another thing is, once I go to radiate this warp plasma, it'll be lethal to humans and other species. So I'd have to do it at the warp core because it has the highest shielding.
Understood. Could you possibly use the captain's shuttle?
I'd say out of charactermatic, that would be a viable alternative.
That's a possibility, Captain.
All right. We can discuss that later then. For the time being, I'd like to focus on the current anomalies in front of us.
All right. So it's actually about this time that the probe has been prepared. And so to break down how you get to this difficulty, so it'll be another reason plus science, assisted by the ship's sensors plus science. And initially, the difficulty here was going to be 5, but you created an advantage, so it goes down to 4. You have the Arcadia sensors, so it goes down to 3. You launched a probe, so it goes down to 2. And then Captain, if you assist, on top of all that, that's just, you have set yourselves up for some good success here.
Risho, you're going to lead the task?
Yeah, I guess so, unless you think you'd be better suited.
My focus is subspace communications. That would be the one that's applying for me.
Okay, I've got stellar phenomena and sensor operations. I think would both be applicable here. So,
All right, you go ahead and lead them.
Okay.
What check do you want from us, GM?
For you, Tahan, I'd like you to do also a reason plus science.
I'm gonna add 1 die actually, just
Okay.
to make sure we get that.
What's the ship assisting with?
The ship is assisting with sensors plus science.
I've already got that one ready to roll.
I know you rolled 0 twice.
Okay, so
I'm gonna re-roll that 19.
let's see. Okay, so that's... Alright, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you get 4. You're maxed on momentum.
Yeah.
As you launch the probe and begin to get readings back, Risho, you are able to determine that these tetryons are originating from a multitude of sources all across and within Iota Mu 4, which is one of the planets in the system. Most of the tetryons appear to be coming from under the planet's surface, though. But perhaps what's really interesting is that the tetryons occur in repeated patterns, which are then answered by nearly identical patterns at a local level. These call and response type bursts are increasing in frequency.
Sorry, where's the response coming from?
From a local level, so basically it's like someone playing a telephone. Something or someone is emanating a specific tetryon emission, and then there is a similar reply in a very generalized area that is close to the initial burst.
I know you probably said this, but where are these tetryon emissions happening from?
You actually don't know where they're coming from. You just are detecting that there are tetryon emissions.
No, I mean, is this at the planet that we were at a day ago, or?
Oh, no, sorry. This is at a planet that is nearby, but is not the same planet that you would be conceivably turning around for.
Okay, understood.
This signal, is that being broadcast out to the whole expanse? Or is that just for the local area?
I would say it would be more the equivalent of driving by Earth as radio signals were being transmitted. It's just one of those things where the signal just happens to propagate into space because there's nothing really stopping it.
Is there anything on record of tetryons used as communication?
Not at present, as far as you're able to determine. But
Can we get that Ujasa to look at the pattern and see if the translator can maybe suss something out?
Sure. And I'm going to let you guys roll for Ujasa here. So as quote-unquote comms and tactical officer, she reduces the difficulty of this task by 1. So the task for this is going to be... let's make it a reason plus science. And we're going to do this at a difficulty of 3 after the reduction.
So I'm just going to do something on the side here. I'm going to take that signal and see if it correlates to any other signal we've picked up while been in the expanse.
Okay.
Okay, so Jace's reason plus science is not super great.
Yeah, it's not amazing.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I mean, I assume the total's above 11, right?
it is not. It is 9.
Oh,
Yeah, she has 7 reason, 2 science. So, do we want to spend some momentum to try and give her more dice, or?
well, we're at a maximum. Perhaps there's a way we could create an advantage. Well, it's already difficulty 3 right now.
It's difficulty
Yeah.
3 at the moment, yes.
Can we create an advantage?
Tell me what the advantage is, and I might allow it.
Due to the crystal clear nature of what Q did for us, it's a little easy to hear things.
Well, so we've already, I mean, devil's advocate, or I don't know, that's not the word you said. We've already created one advantage to predict the random momentum of the tetryon particles.
Mm-hmm.
So that just means it's clear to read, but now she has to decode it.
Would Richaud be able to help by, like, locking down and kind of getting the clearest signal possible to communicate it to her station?
These are all excellent ideas. Here's what we'll do. I'll let you create the advantage if you want to spend the 2 momentum. And I'll also let the ship assist with computers plus science. That sound fair?
Sounds good to me.
Sure. So it's going to be 2 difficulty then.
Mm-hmm.
I'd still like to spend 1 more momentum to give her a 3rd die. Just
Yeah.
okay, cool. So I'm going to roll for her if everybody's cool with that.
Yeah, go for it. Ooh.
Yay! Alright. So...
Well, it doesn't matter what I roll, but just for the pain rubbins.
Yeah.
Let me double check the talent. It might be one of those things where she might get a reroll.
This was an order. Could advisor come into play and allow her to reroll?
Give me 1 second. Communications officer. Yeah, so it only decreases the difficulty.
She doesn't have any talents, does she?
No, well, she has
Nothing applicable.
Yeah, she doesn't have anything that's applicable.
Does she have any values?
I don't think she
Nope,
has any
she does
values
not.
yet. Yeah.
We need to start upgrading her, seeing as she appears all the time. I mean, I don't know how our illustrious GM wants to handle that kind of thing. I know in my game I've limited how many times they can do it, like in subsequent games. But,
Right. I think what we'll do is during either the break or after the session, we'll do some tweaking with Ujesa to get her a little bit more up to speed. But unfortunately, I'm going to say that Ujesa, tries to run this tetryon pattern through the universal translator, and she just kind of frowns and says, "The computer thinks that there might be some sort of intelligence behind this sort of emission, sir, but as far as getting it to be deciphered as a language, we would need much more detailed and localized scans."
Well, I think we all know that Ensign Monday, you're about to navigate us to Iota Mu 4.
Aye, sir. And then he taps at a console. And then he frowns and he taps at a different part of the console. Damn, Q moved my buttons. And sure enough, there's a very subtle change in the way the starfield is swooping by. And you begin your journey to IM4. So if there's anything you guys want to do during the trip, it'll probably take about 15 minutes. Now would be the time.
get all my presets back where they used to be.
I will briefly explain to Andromeda what Q is.
Okay. I'm actually curious as to how you're going to explain it.
Oh god. I mean, I'll do it by telling the story of the encounter at Farpoint mission.
Okay. So Andromeda will just kind of tilt her head to the side and say, so I believe the term that would be applicable here is he is a god?
Don't know.
I do my best to stifle a laugh.
He has a complex of one for sure.
I would agree with that. But yes, he is, if not omnipotent, then nearly so. But maybe out of respect, I would never call him a god.
I will remember that. She looks around the bridge again. Not that I don't mind being up here, but should I maybe leave? This seems like something I may not be involved in.
No, actually, please stay,
Of course.
if you wish.
No, I don't have a problem. I just did not want to overstay my welcome if I wasn't needed.
I'll stand up, and it's like, you can have my seat. I'll take up over here.
Okay.
I'm going to go do some research.
Okay. So Andromeda will kind of tentatively walk around and take a seat, and she'll remark, "Oh, this is rather comfy. Better than the chairs in my quarters, even."
Well, Q did some redecorating, so the new chairs are, admittedly, very nice.
Andromeda just kind of very passively just looks around the bridge and takes everything in. And Crowley, you get the sense that there's a little bit of excitement along with the usual curiosity that you get from Andromeda.
I will casually just go down to the console shared between myself and the commander and just make sure it's I'm not safe for work, but like not like unclass. Like everything there is fit for anyone's eyes.
Okay. That certainly is a simple thing to do. But Crowley, I'm interested. What are you researching in particular?
Just want to see if this pattern has presented itself in any other area of the expanse that we've charted so far.
I'm just gonna give this to you rather than make you roll for it. So far, this pattern is not something you've been able to see in the past. And I'm double checking my own notes here to be extra sure. Yeah, up to this point, you guys really haven't even come across tetryons as even being something of note, outside of random noise.
On Psi Omega, did we download the Doctor's research onto our tricorder?
I believe you did.
Anything in there?
No, but you do perhaps find a small reference to some sort of metallic isotope that might be able to dampen the effects of the eddies.
I'm going to compare it to chromium.
So the isotope in question is chromium-50, if it matters.
I'm going to look into that. Is that the same chromium that can affect Vulcans?
I believe it's
very...
any chromium, but I could be wrong.
Any other health risks with it?
No, it's not radioactive as far as I was able to determine in my research. It's fairly stable, and it's not like mercury where like touching it will kill you kind of a thing. It just, for Vulcans, and it just has that slightly adverse effect.
The slightly adverse zombifying effect.
I will pass the isotope identifier to Matic as well.
Okay. So yeah, Matic, you get this information, but I think you pretty much already knew this.
Yeah. I'll kind of take the research look at it and this is what I was talking about, Commander.
Yeah, I figured if you wanted to know the exact isotope. Found it in the dead station.
Nope.
Scientist lines.
Nope. That never happened. That never happened. Never happened. No, just no.
And yeah, that's pretty much all I can do right now.
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Is there? Can I do anything to? I guess enhance sensors or look up information on tachyons to see if they've been known to affect ships in any way.
Tetryons, not
Tetryon.
tachyons, but you're close enough. You would note that as an engineer, and again, I'm just going to give this to you rather than have you roll like a difficulty 3 task. You would know that tetryons can be used as an energy source, but it's not exactly something that would be advised. Sort of like how we still use coal plants in the real world when there's ample other energy sources out there. So it's almost like I wouldn't say ancient, but it is a different way of acquiring and using power. The other thing you'd note is that tetryons aren't really harmful unless you get a severe buildup of them. And we're talking several orders of magnitude on the logarithmic scale before it's really a problem.
Also, does does the tachyon emissions? Does it seem like, I guess the Earth equivalent would be like Morse code?
I
Like,
would say you would get the same answer as Ujesa in that there might be intelligence behind these signals, but obviously you would need to get closer scans to be sure.
is there a way to see if there's a spatial tear or if there's something creating this, or are we still too far away?
I'd say you're probably still too far away.
I want to do sorry, just one more thing. A quick scan on the computer for any tetryon particles that were not present in subspace, just to see if there's any encounter of a phenomenon like this.
I would say that there would have to be at least one or two incidents based on everything the Enterprise, both NX, A, B, and D got up to. But this particular interaction where there seems to be an intelligence at play, you don't find any equivalent.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up those logs and review them on our trip over.
Okay. So basically, that in character, you would get the general gist of any times that the Enterprise crew encountered a subspace anomaly, which was quite a lot. But yeah, Captain, I think you might have had something, maybe?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I just heard you for a second. I wasn't sure. So we'll say at this point, Rasho, you've gotten your presets back, thankfully. So has Monday.
Huzzah.
And it is at this point that Monday brings you guys out of warp into this system. And before you scan or do an actual scan instead of just a passive one, you see that IM4 is a Class M world with 3 moons and a pretty diverse climate. It likely supports a wide and abundant array of animal and plant life. And probably most important is that its atmosphere appears to be breathable by most humanoid species. There are no signs of cities, no roads or networks or industrial activity. However, this passive scan of the planet does detect that the planet's core has reached an entirely liquid state that creates regular subspace inversions. This in turn will allow for the stable formation of solanogen through the planet's crust. And again, out of character, solanogen is a particle and material that is similar to tetryons in that it usually occurs in subspace.
Is there a way to see if if all this was here before our encounter with Q, or did Q just kind of like pop it up?
So almost as you think that, Q's head kind of pops in next to you like a devil on your shoulder, and he says, "Oh no, this was not my doing, but please continue." And then he vanishes away.
Am I the only one who sees him?
Yeah, you are the only one that sees and hears him.
I'm just gonna kind of like type out a quick text message to the captain and be like, "The Q is still watching us and he's still here. This might be a test."
And Captain, you would of course get this on your little central console. And I don't know, do you encrypt this message at all, or do you just send it plain text, Matic?
I mean, does it really matter with the Q?
I mean, not really, but I'm just curious if Andromeda would be able to see it, kind of a thing.
Nah, I'm not too worried about it. Not like she can't just do some weird voodoo stuff with her fingers.
All right, so Captain, of course, there's a little beep on your console, and you see this message from Matic, and Andromeda kind of looks at it, but doesn't say anything about it.
I'll just go ahead and respond in text. Best you ignore him.
All right. So, Rochelle, if you would like to run deeper scans of the planet, you certainly may. Otherwise, I can sort of give you some bare minimum information. It's really up to you.
I definitely would like to scan.
Okay. Normally, I wouldn't ask, but, sometimes it's come up in a real-life game of Star Trek Adventures where they're like, "No, we don't want to scan. We just want to go right down." I'm like, okay.
But I have all these nice scanners.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So, given the captain's hobby and fascination with subspace, I would also like to assist on the scan.
Okay. So, yeah, you'll be able to assist. So both of the player characters, Rochelle and Tahan, you're going to, again, roll a Reason plus Science. And the ship will assist, in addition, with Sensors plus Science. And now that you're closer to the planet, I'm going to say after all the reductions, it's only a difficulty 1. Ooh, we have a complication.
I'm going to re-roll that 20 because of my technical expertise. Haha.
In before another 20.
Fuck!
No.
You cheated!
Oh dear.
All
right.
I didn't fix all my presets. No.
Oh dear. Okay, so you obviously still succeed on the task, and I think you get 2 momentum.
Should be, yeah.
So here's what's going to happen. The first sweep of the planet is that you pick up a mysterious power signature on the surface that's located in the middle of an otherwise uninhabited desert. Then when you do another scan, you detect that there's this massive concentration of tetryon bursts.
We should actually get 4 momentum, sorry to interrupt. But,
no, that's fine.
Yeah, so we're maxed out.
Okay. So this massive concentration of tetryon bursts is located in a vast subterranean cavern that you could, same as the desert, you could get beamed down coordinates to. However, as you go to scan a third time, just to see if there's anything else, your console goes dark, as if the power has been cut to it.
What about mine?
Yours is still working.
All right, may I spend momentum to obtain information?
Sure, what do you want to know?
Actually, sorry, we haven't been doing this, but I get to do that automatically when we succeed with sensors.
No.
So,
Well, okay, let's do
I
a
will
shows, then we'll
hand
do
my
a
question
tell-alls.
over to the captain.
Okay.
I want to look for life forms, life signs.
Okay. I'm going to say you are indeed picking up many life signs, both inside the planet's crust and across the planet. But the desert is uninhabited, specifically. And the cavern I mentioned is vastly populated by life forms.
When you say life forms under the crust, like just under the crust, like in like caves?
Yeah,
Or,
like in
okay.
caves and
Not like
tunnels.
in the magma of the planet.
No, not that deep.
Okay.
Would I have anything that tells me that Richaud's console just went offline?
I mean, you could literally just look over and see it.
I'm frustratedly tapping
Um,
away.
So since I asked the question, we do have to spend a momentum for that, right?
No, I think Richaud just gave you his.
Yeah.
Okay. I also have studious, so can I ask another question?
I'll allow it. Sure, why not?
Okay. Does anyone have a suggestion before I think of one of my own?
I'm concerned about the stability of the planet, just in general, because apparently its insides are being turned into solanogen. So,
Which what was the phenomenon? Like the name for the anomaly inside the core of the planet? What was that called?
A subspace inversion.
Okay. I want to find out if that is a natural phenomenon or is there another? Is it related to the power source that we've detected on the surface?
So, as far as you're able to tell, it's not related to the power signature on the surface. However, thanks to the Arcadia's amazing sensors, you're getting the sense that because this planet's core is in an entirely liquid state, it is very naturally occurring, these subspace inversions. Though, curiously, if these readings are correct, there should be some sort of spatial rift in the planet's core, but there isn't.
And just for my own sake, tetryons do have a relationship to subspace?
Yes, tetryons and solanogen particles are both from subspace.
Okay. So there's supposed to be a spatial rift, but we're not seeing one. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
What's the I mean, this is a suggestion to ask. What's the density of the tetryons?
Tetryons.
Yeah, tetryons on the surface. Are they in that like if we were to go down, would it be a danger? Which this is a suggestion to ask. I'm not asking it.
Oh, can I spend one momentum to ask a third question?
I spend as many momentum questions as you like.
All right. Well, I'm asking the crew.
yeah.
And then, all right. Do the life signs and the areas of tetryon activity match up at all? Or are they in the same places?
I would say they seem to, actually. So the tetryons that you located in the cavern do correlate with a large number of life forms, of which you aren't sure what kind. They seem to be of an unknown variety. And you are also, now that you're looking at it a second time, you also are detecting maybe one or two in the desert, both life forms and tetryon sources. The very same desert which has the power signature.
All right. I believe you should send an away team.
Captain,
Commander, would you like to lead this team?
Also might
I
help
would
if
like
I put
to.
you on this map.
I'd also like to just launch a Class 3 planetary probe before we go down, just to get a better scan. We're having some issues up here.
I think that'd be an excellent idea.
Okay. So with this Class 3 planetary probe, what are you looking for in particular before I just sort of throw information out there?
Better analysis on the life forms.
Okay. I'm going to say that... and I'm trying to do this in a way that doesn't spoil future scenes. They definitely register as being, obviously living and breathing type thing. And it's not like they're temporarily existent subspace entities, but yeah, it's just one of those things where you would have to go down and maybe even get almost a point blank scan of these life signs to really get the good information.
Now that we're closer, can we try to translate the tetryons into a language again?
Ujace has actually already tried that a few times, and the results have been the same. And that being, sir, we're just going to need more data, more localized scans.
Okay. In that case, Jason, I'd like you to go with the away team, and we will call up Sorrel or someone to take your post while you're away.
All right, so let me begin to set up the page for the away team. So which of the signals are you guys going to be checking out first? The cave or the desert power source?
So, Commander, what are you thinking?
The desert power source. There's only a couple of life forms, so it's easier to observe and not have the threat of being jumped while inside a cave. Also, easy to beam out.
I would agree with all that, as well as that it's two things to investigate rather than just one.
Are the caves, would they block transporter signal? Like, are they made of anything special, or are they just like caves?
You're pretty sure you can get a signal down that far, but it obviously wouldn't hurt to bring along a few pattern enhancers for safety.
Right. Also, I want to fix Rochelle's console while everyone else is, figuring this out.
Okay. That would be a fairly simple task, thanks to the rugged design of the Arcadia. At least I think you guys have rugged design.
Me too.
It's going to be a control plus engineering difficulty 1 to get his console back online.
It's going to be a what now?
Control plus engineering.
Oh, okay. Power systems focus?
Yeah, since the problem is with the power.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. So
Explodes.
that's 320s in the row, so the Q comes back, right? We're going to play those rules, right?
No, Q doesn't come back, but here's what happens.
Can he come back when we're playing D&D?
Can he join us next time? Like, I feel like he would get a kick out of it.
Oh, trust me, Q's having a laugh. So here's what happens. You get Rochelle's console working again, but one of the consoles in the back, like along the back wall, that goes dark now.
I start meandering my way over to fix that, thinking Q, and then I'm just under my breath, just like, it's got to be Q. Q's doing this, like just talking to myself again.
Okay. So Rochelle, I'm going to again just kind of give this to you, since you succeeded so much, even with the complications. So now that you have a working console again, You see that there is a third source of tetryon activity, and it is near a mountain peak.
And there aren't any life signs clustered around there?
As far as you're able to determine, there are not.
Okay. Would we have record of previous Solanogen encounters that, say, the Enterprise D had? I'm sure they would have logged that, right?
Right. What sort of information are you looking to get from this?
Well, just, I guess some information about the life forms, and, but because that whole thing was there was Solanogen-based life forms which were abducting Enterprise D crew members.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that, a quick perusal of the library, I guess, would bring up?
Yeah, I would say that'd be fair.
Okay.
Was that the same thing I did?
Yeah, I would say that would be the same thing you did, so there's a little bit of crosstalk.
Yeah, no,
In
I'm
fact,
just...
looking at the stardate on Memory Alpha, that was like relatively recent too, as far as the stardates go.
So,
Well, I guess maybe 2 years ago.
still, that's recent enough, so...
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah. So out of curiosity, who's going on the away team? I know you guys said Ujace is going. Who else is going on the away team?
Crowley is.
Okay.
Rochelle, probably?
I'd like Matic to go because we did detect a power source, so I think having the engineer would be a good idea.
Okay. So, Captain, who are you going to go down with? I'll say you can take any supporting character except for Andromeda. If you want Andromeda to go down, I'll control her, simply because I don't really have stats for her yet.
Could I run Ujesa?
Yeah, I'll let you run Ujace if you so wish.
Yeah, I was actually thinking, Captain,
Yes.
I don't think this is an extremely dangerous mission. I don't think there will be much danger involved. It's mostly just recon and scouting. It would be a good test bed to test Andromeda out and see how she can perform. If she's willing to come down.
I would agree with you if I didn't believe the possibility of first contact were on the table.
Fair enough. I would like to take the Wave Rider down, just in case if we do encounter anything. Having a ship in low orbit back you up is pretty nice.
You can take a shuttle, but I don't believe we'll need anything with warp capability to travel to the planet.
Monday looks dejected that he's not going to be able to pilot the Wave Rider again.
That was my whole goal, is to get him to pilot again.
Has Monday ever gotten to pilot that thing?
Yeah, he piloted.
Yeah, we've flown it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. Also, I guess he helped me pilot it once.
Mm-hmm. He gave you lessons.
It's also good for atmospheric flying.
I guess after being told that I'm going on the mission, I'm gonna look at Crowley and just ask, which do you want us to go in standard loadout, like just standard phasers and all that?
Standard phasers, yeah. That'll be good.
All right. I guess I'll go get that set up and then try to see about getting a couple engineering teams to fix any more consoles that have gone out.
Okay.
And,
When I come back, all the consoles are going to be black.
yeah. I'm going to tell Crowley, and maybe this is my bias showing because it's my favorite thing about being in Starfleet, but Commander, treat this as a first contact mission, okay? Even if it's not one.
Will do.
All right. So just double checking. You guys are going to the desert location first, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll say that since you decided to take a shuttle, the trip down is pretty pleasant. There's not really a whole lot of interest that goes on except for the whole little bit of rocking that goes on when you enter the atmosphere proper. but you are able to touch down in the desert. And I will put you guys on this map. And hopefully you guys can kind of see what's going on there. So when you open up the back of the shuttle, there's this immediate roar of this harsh burning wind. And much like the salt flat that you see on Roll20, there's cracked and sun-bleached rocks that kind of just litter the otherwise flat surface of the desert, which extends as far as the eye can see. IM4's 3 pale moons hover overhead in a clear blue sky. But perhaps most important is that 50 meters away is a tall tower bristling with electronic instruments.
I want to make a scan, and I want to see if the power signature of the tower, if it's similar to anything in the Starfleet bid database.
Okay. I read my own notes here. So just because I am really bad about taking away momentum for new scenes, this would be a new scene. So if you would like to do a reason plus engineering, Matic, at a difficulty of 2, I might give it to you.
Alien engineering technology apply?
Yeah, I'll allow it. Why not?
Alright.
As we get to this desert, I want to have prepared and change it out from the normal Starfleet uniform to the vest.
Mm-hmm.
And have that equipped as I open the door.
Okay. So, Matic, you are able to determine that the tower is powered by tetryon bursts, but somewhere deeper into the planet. And as you maybe wander a little bit closer, Matic, you're going to see that there is a dome of crackling energy, for lack of a better term, a force field, that kind of rises from the ground like an orange bubble. Trapped inside this force field is a large insectoid creature with 6 spindly appendages and glowing red eyes set atop a strange mouth-like orifice that's surrounded by short tentacles. And a seemingly identical creature, in addition, seems to be circling this tower and is occasionally thrashing its pincers against the tower in what might be a attempt to free its companion. And I actually have a handout for this. So this is what you're seeing.
Do I sense anything?
It's so cute!
Can I scan it to make a hologram of it, though we can have a pet hologram run around?
Sure. But Crowley, in reference to what you are picking up, you're picking up from the one in the bubble, obviously some fear and distress, and the one that's running around the tower trying to do something is in a bit of a panic. At the moment, neither of these bugs seem to have taken notice of you, but that could change very quickly depending on how you approach this.
Are these bugs life signs similar to the life signs we picked up from the ship, or are they different?
I would say that based on your tricorder scans and having looked at the ship scans, that these are probably the life forms that you were picking up.
Yep.
Does the tower have a force field on it?
It does in the picture, but I'm going to say it doesn't, just for sake of argument.
All right.
Oh, I thought that was one of the moons in the background.
Oh, well, that is a moon. I thought it was a force field. So yeah, no force
That's
field.
no moon.
Yes, it's secretly the Death Star. The Death Star blows up Alderaan with you on it. No.
Well, if that's the case, then Q was right toward us.
But yeah. No, you guys have free access to the tower.
I look to Jason. Like, can you scan them to see if they're trying to communicate with each other and discern if they're sentient?
if I remember correctly, Klingons don't really like bright light, so she's squinting her eyes a whole bunch, and she's like, yes, and she'll pull out her tricorder and try to start decoding the language.
Okay.
I'm actually enjoying the heat because half Vulcan.
Yeah. I'm going to say this time Ujesa would be rolling Insight plus Science here.
What's my difficulty?
I'm going to make the difficulty a 2.
Now,
May I spend one of our 4 momentum for a third die?
Sure. And since I gave her a command, I can let her re-roll with my
Yeah, I'll allow
advisor.
it. Why not?
And you also get to assist with command, right?
Wait.
Isn't that how the advisor works?
Let's see. Whenever you're assisting with a character using your command discipline, the character being assisted may re-roll a d20.
Yep.
Yes. So it's just command what?
We'll say Reason plus Command for you.
And I'm assuming Ujace's linguistics focus is in play.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Let's see. Starfleet Protocol would be a focus. Establishing first contact and trying to learn the language.
Yeah, I'll allow it. Why not?
Yeah.
Alright, I'm going to re-roll the 18.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I rolled 2 dice by mistake. I apologize.
That's fine.
Okay, Ujace got 2 successes.
Okay. So we will take that first 18 for Crowley. So the good news is you still pass. So yeah, you are detecting that for lack of a better term, the bugs sort of have these brilliantly colored lights around the mouth-like orifices on their faces. And Ujace's scan reveals that these lights are circular bands of pulsating radiation. More specifically, radiation with a signature that matches the tetryons detected by the Arcadia.
Commander, this radiation is a language. I'm decoding it now.
Excellent. The sooner we can understand them, the sooner we can hopefully help the trapped one.
Speaking of which, Rochelle's going to move to the tower and start to see if he can determine anything available about that.
Okay. So as you get closer to the Tower of Rochelle, the bugs notice you, and the one that is at the tower immediately rushes over and sort of like a dog guarding its master, gets between you and its friend in the bubble. And it takes up more of a protective stance than an offensive or provocative one, but that might be different in your mind, kind of a thing. Like you as a character, might just see this giant bug and think, it's, getting ready to attack, kind of a thing. It's really
Right.
hard to tell.
You want me to roll like an insight to see how Rochelle reacts, or?
I'm gonna let you decide how Rochelle reacts.
He's going to take it as, being not necessarily territorial, because I hear Ujesa say that they have a language, so obviously they have some degree of intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
But like aggressively protective, I guess. So Rochelle is going to, as best he can, arms outstretched, show he doesn't have anything in his hands. Not sure how that would translate to a 6-legged bug without hands, but this is what he's familiar with. Is very kind of slowly and non-threateningly as possible go the long way around to reach the tower, I guess, if that's possible.
Okay. So the bug will more or less stay in between whoever's the closest away team member to the force field. So as you take the long way around, it doesn't like follow you.
Okay, cool.
But when you get to the tower, you see that there are what look to be several panels that you might be able to just pop off.
Yeah, sure, I'll go for that.
Okay. So you pop off one of the panels, and luckily enough, you see that there's some sort of alien terminal inside. The universal translator actually is able to decipher this language, and if you'd like to try and interface with the terminal, it would be a reason plus engineering at a difficulty of 3.
Would my computer's focus apply?
I would say it would, yes.
Sweet. Then I'll attempt to do that. Difficulty of 3, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody have any objections to my spending momentum?
Go for
Not
it.
at all.
Cool. There we go.
Nice.
So that's going to be 4, so I'll get that momentum back. And that's a success.
All right. So, Rochelle, you have a couple options here. You can either lower the force field that's currently in use, you can permanently disable the tower, or you can cause an overload in the tower, destroying it completely.
Commander, I think I've successfully interfaced with the tower here. I can lower the force field and free our friend here. I can also just disable the tower completely or destroy it. Although I don't think destroying new technology is our best option here. What would you suggest, sir?
I would agree with destroying it goes against first contact protocol. For all we know, this could be an environmental control device. Let's lower the force field once Jace has established a base communication. We don't want them all of a sudden feeling like they need to attack us because their friend's freed.
They might see it as a friendly gesture if we were able to free the friend.
True. Let's just... Jason, do you have anything?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Tell you what, Ensign. Lower it in 10 seconds. And
I get, or Commander.
And in that 10 seconds, I walk towards the one that was guarding his friend, and I'm just walking up with my hands slightly up.
Mm-hmm.
And
of course, it takes a little bit more of a defensive posture, getting ready to pounce if need be.
I get on my knees,
Mm-hmm.
and I just point to its friend, and I'm using my hands to gesture the dome, and I'm trying to make it look like it's going to be dropped, like I'm making it look like it's going to be lowered.
Okay. So, curiously enough, the one outside the bubble tries to mimic your actions with its 2 front legs. It gets low to the ground, and it does the same kind of motion you do with your hands, which, again, because it's a bug, looks a little bit weird, but it seems to at least understand you're trying to tell it something.
What's the emotion I'm getting from it?
You're getting it's still a little bit apprehensive, but you're starting to get the sense that it is a curiosity is coming into play here.
I will draw into the sand the dome with his little friend inside,
Uh-huh.
and slowly fade away the dome. And that should be enough for 10 seconds to have
Okay.
passed.
Yeah. So, Rochelle, you drop it on as ordered?
I do, yep.
Okay. So the force field more or less collapses, and the individual inside is free. And the 2 bugs begin to rapidly emit these brightly colored lights that I mentioned before. And Ujesa, you are picking up a lot of what you're assuming is communication between the 2 creatures.
Yeah, if I haven't decoded it yet, I do want to at least record it so I can read this back later.
Right. Yeah, you're still not able to decode it, but it is very valuable information to get. So after probably about a minute or so of this back and forth between the 2 creatures, they both kind of in unison turn to look at the rest of the away team. And you get a sense of relief, Crowley, and again, a growing sense of curiosity and wonder.
I love being an empath. I will draw the tower,
Mm-hmm.
at the planet, a little representation of our ship, and then us aboard it. Like just
Okay.
on top of it. And I'll tap the picture of us, myself, and then I'll point to the sky.
Okay. The bugs will, at least one of them will come on up to you, and size-wise, the picture the handout that I showed is kind of about the same size as it is in the picture. So they're, if I had to use D&D terms, they are large creatures where you guys are medium. But one of them comes over and taps at the very center of the diagram of the planet that you drew. So it taps the center, and then it taps itself.
Okay. I will point to it and point to the center, and then I'll point to myself and I'll point to the ship, like saying, like, this is home for me. Is this
Okay.
your home?
Yeah, it again does the same mimic kind of motion, and you get the sense that I don't even know if this would be qualified as an emotion, but you get the sense that the creature is rudimentary understanding of what you're trying to tell it.
Neat. I point to the tower,
Mm-hmm.
and I point to the creature.
It lets out a hiss. And I would say this would be almost like a warning hiss.
How's it feeling when I point to the tower and back to itself?
Oh, there is much anger surrounding this tower.
Okay. I'll draw another figure, just a random. I'll point to that, I'll point to that, and then I'll cross them both out
Mm-hmm.
to see it, like to try and convey, like, did someone put this here? Is this a trap to hunt you?
So unfortunately, that bit of information you try to communicate doesn't really communicate well through gestures. So the bug doesn't really respond in any way.
I looked to Jason, I was like, you have any way to communicate?
Not yet.
Not yet.
You should bring some visors so you can block out the sun.
So actually, Ujesa, as Crowley continues on trying to establish a dialogue, you're going to begin to notice that the bugs are beginning to slow in their movements, and eventually gets to the point where the bugs, seemingly without warning, kind of just sit down or curl up onto the desert surface. And then you all start to see and hear the cracking of a shell, almost as if they are metamorphizing. And this process maybe takes 5 or 10 minutes. So if any of you want to do anything to them or otherwise, this would be the time.
What am I feeling?
You're just kind of feeling that they are shedding an old shell kind of thing. Like this is a very standard thing for them.
Okay. I looked to the away team, I was like, I'm not feeling anything of concern or fear, so it looks like this could be potentially normal. If they're able to get deeper scans, I would say do it now, but of course not evasive. This is first contact after all. And after I say that, I'll quickly message up to the captain.
Okay.
This is the this is the captain.
Hello, Captain. We came across one of those towers. We shut down a force field that was projecting that had encaptured one of the local life forms here. They are an insectoid species. They have sentience, though. They're understanding. I'm trying to establish a dialogue, but communication is a little rough, as, well, they don't speak like us.
Understood. Is there a relationship between this life form and the power signature at the tower?
I think it's hostile towards the tower. They did not respond well when I drew a diagram of it and asked if they made it or were connected to it.
Understood. Please update me if this situation changes.
Will do.
And while I'm at the ship, I want to look for more of these structures.
Okay.
Perhaps with that planetary probe that's going around.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll just use the probe for this, and I'll let you have another gimme. You detect that there are similar type installations all across the planet. If I had to put a number on it, maybe somewhere on the order of about 50 such installations. But they don't appear to be active like this one is.
Are there life forms around those other installations?
Yeah, more of, well, now that you've been told that they're insectoids, more of the insectoid life signs are around these towers. It's almost as if someone had come down, seen where concentrations of these bugs were, and then planted a tower nearby.
And so, do I know what the towers do?
I don't know. Did Crowley communicate that fact?
I just knew the tower had a force field around this creature, and we lowered it. I didn't know that it did anything else. Or I wasn't told it did anything else.
Alright, I'll call back to the commander.
Okay.
Commander, I've located several other of these towers along the planet's surface. Many of them are in areas near high concentrations of the insectoid life form you have found. The others do not appear to be active, as this one is. From my location, I cannot discern their purpose.
Richaud, what were you able to find out about this tower when you're examining it?
What was I able to find out about the tower?
So you will find that the tower belongs to something called the Cavian Expeditionary Force. And the tower is designed to do its thing, so conceivably trap the insectoid creatures. And then it goes dormant for about a period of 74 years before it activates and begins trapping creatures again.
Have I been able to determine how old it is? How many cycles it's gone through?
I'm going to say no. That type of information would not be available to you.
And is there any information about why it's doing this?
No. Just, that this is the property of the Cavians. That's about it.
Okay, and I'm assuming we have not heard of Cavians before?
Nope, they are not something any of you are familiar with.
Okay. I will communicate that information. Now, Commander, it seems that this tower, and I'm presuming the others, are the property of something called the Cavian Expeditionary Force, and they seem to be here as a lure to specifically trap our insect friends.
Very well. Take a sample of some of the metal and we can try and carbon date it.
Yeah, certainly.
And I'll relay the information back to the captain.
So it is possible that the owners of these towers might come sometime to collect the insectoid creatures. Is that our working assumption?
Possibly.
A reasonable guess. Is this who Jess is saying it, or out of character?
Oh, that was the captain talking back, responding to Crowley.
Sorry, I had to duck out for a moment. Just got back.
They could do that, or they could have fallen for all we know, and these towers just activate, capture, and let these creatures unfortunately perish. We don't know anything about them, unfortunately. I would personally, I would like to find a way to deactivate these so no other sentient life forms gets trapped in it.
I would agree, however, we must consider the Prime Directive, although we have time to make this decision.
I would say that this does not interfere with the Prime Directive, as these towers are not native to this world.
You've been able to establish that?
Well, going by viewing and everything and how the creatures react to the pictograph of the tower, the fact that this is from an expedition of anyone that we may not have any contact with, and it's around a planet, would suggest that it's probably a spacefaring culture.
I would say that's a logical conclusion. Yes, I agree.
But we will explore further, and hopefully we find a way to properly communicate with these life forms.
Okay, for the time being, deactivate that tower, and if need be, we can do away with it or turn it back on, but I agree with your assessment. The tower should be deactivated.
Roger that, Captain.
All right. So obviously, Rochelle, you get the order to deactivate the tower. And
is the
go ahead.
tower part of a? Is it like networked to the other towers?
Roll me an insight plus engineering at a difficulty of 2.
All right. Is my computer's focus can be applicable here?
Yeah, it would still apply here.
All right, sweet. And still not good enough.
Okay, so
Even in the future, networking is difficult.
exactly. Best you can tell, there might be a network, but most of the power is coming from some sort of installation deeper within the crust.
Okay. Am I able to get a read on is it like power cables running beneath the surface, or
The equivalent of EPS conduits, yes.
okay? All right, and I will shut down this particular tower and see what happens with the power coming to it. Then,
Okay.
with my tricorder.
So when you go to shut the tower down, the very subtle audible hum in the area slowly decreases in volume until it is no more. And you're able to detect, Rochelle, that the power is still available to the tower, but that you have more or less placed it into a dormant mode.
Okay. What's Matic doing right now?
I don't know. What is Matic doing? Oh, did we lose Matic?
He's suntanning.
Matic, you're muted if we can't hear you. We lost
I
Matic.
did not realize that I was muted.
Oh, you've been saying shit this whole time. Oh dear.
Yep.
All right. Rochelle will. Lieutenant, if you don't mind, I noticed there seems to be something similar to an EPS conduit running under the surface to the tower. I'm wondering if need be, is there a way we could maybe cause some sort of feedback that might be able to shut down the entire system from one tower?
I mean, are we going to disable all the towers or just this one?
I'm just considering our options.
If it works anything like the ships, once I get to like a console of some sort, I could just reroute power away from this tower.
Right, but I'm wondering if there's a way to crash the entire network if that's what we decide is necessary here.
You just see Matic kind of put his hands together and then bring them out apart, and then just with his mouth, he just kind of words boom.
Fair.
But if we don't want to do something that exciting, we could always find central location and shut that off. Disrupt towers enough, turn off enough systems that it tricks the main power to stop sending power to this to the towers.
So you don't think we can do it from any individual tower? We would need to go to a central hub?
I mean, it depends on the type of encryption and redundant systems that these towers have. They're all. I mean, we could try it from this single tower. However, if there's a pretty good chance that it may not work, but we can always try it.
All right, just options to keep on the table.
So it's about this time that the creatures begin to finish their metamorphism / molting. And as they emerge from their shells, you see that they have sprouted these gossamer wings that glisten in the light. And they sort of seem to talk to one another via that light around their mouths. And after a few moments, they turn to all of you, do some sort of, I guess you would call it a bow, so that they kind of lower their front halves. And then they take to the sky and begin flying away.
What was the last sensation I got from them?
To put it bluntly, they're probably about to go and have some sort of mating going on.
You hear 90s smooth R&B playing in the background.
All right. I just look around and was like, well, at least we helped those ones out. Captain, Commander Carly to Captain.
I read you loud and clear.
Where is the closest location of another tower, or the bunker? How far are we away from the cave system, actually?
Sending you the coordinates now.
Okay. So the cave coordinates are, I mean, you could conceivably go to an entrance and walk all the way down, but it's far enough inside that it would be much easier for you to just transport inside. If you took the long way, it would maybe take 5 to 6 hours to get down that deep.
How big is this entrance? 'Cause I want to try and wiggle the shuttle around.
Oh no, I mean, obviously it's big enough at the entrance to maybe fit a few shuttles across, but the network, as far as the Arcadia is able to determine from orbit, narrows and winds so that the shuttle, you wouldn't be able to like fly a shuttle in there.
Alright, so we'll go back up to the Arcadia, pick up transport enhancers, and then beam down. Same way, team.
Commander, we could just beam the pattern answers to us. The transporter, the shuttle does have transporter capabilities.
Oh, the Types 9 do?
I think they do. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they definitely do. Also, the Arcadia has transporter capabilities. Something we haven't been doing previously, though, but I noticed when I was looking at the book the other day, is there's an opportunity cost for pattern enhancers if we want them.
Ah. But I think you've got a momentum to spare.
Yeah. I mean, if we just start spending willy-nilly on stuff we've never actually used.
Yeah, I'd like to have the pattern enhancers just because we're going down and don't want to get halfway stuck between the ship and some rock. Like, oh, I materialized inside bedrock. This is great.
Is it just 1 momentum?
Yeah, it's 1 momentum for 3.
I mean, that seems fine. We've got 4 right now.
So yeah, then we'll just use the shuttle, beam one down as far as we can with some safety parameters, and I'll have pattern enhancers strapped to my back.
Okay. It's at this point, Ujesa, you think that you might be able to decipher the tetryon-based communication if you were to construct some sort of syntax matrix or some sort of heuristic learning algorithm. You could certainly try to do so here on the planet, but you might have better luck doing so in the labs of the Arcadia.
Commander, I need to go back to the Arcadia to finish decoding this language. I need to make a syntax matrix.
Very well. And, oh wait, maybe we can grab Andromeda? We are cave spelunking. Wouldn't mind having someone with armor on.
I don't know, you're the commanding officer at the moment, so it's your call.
I'm just out of character asking, like, what do you guys think? I'm thinking either Andromeda or Rouge.
If everyone's spelunking, Dory would be the best for climbing.
True.
Probably also wouldn't hurt to have some medical expertise when meeting these insectoids.
Yeah. Yeah, well, let's get Dory down here.
Okay.
Ujesa to Arcadia, 1 to beam.
All right, and the transporter chief dematerializes Ujesa and has her reappear on the Arcadia. So before you guys get the pattern enhancers, I did want to give Ujesa and whoever would like to assist her, or really whoever she calls in to assist herself, I did want to give her a chance to begin, at the very least, the extended task that it will take to decipher the language and encode it as an audible language. I will say that the default task is reason plus science, and the base difficulty is 3. So Ujesa may want to call upon the services of Risho or another science officer.
So the captain's reason science is actually pretty good.
I
don't know if his subspace communications is relevant for tetryons out of subspace.
I would say that it would be. You actually might have the greatest insight of how subspace communication and the nuances might work. So actually, yeah, would be fine.
Could I lead the extended task and have Ujesa assist me?
Yeah, I'd allow it. That would work.
And then I assume also the Arcadia's computers, or some kind of benefit she gets from being the communication officer.
Right. She will reduce the difficulty by 1. So the difficulty then would become 2.
Okay.
So let's do at least a few rounds of the extended task, and then we'll cut back to the away team.
Would someone like to roll for Ujesa while I roll for myself?
Sure, I could do that.
And so I know the base difficulty for each task is 2. What's the work track in magnitude?
The work track is 13, and the magnitude is 3.
Sorry, what was Ujesa rolling?
Reason plus science.
Reason plus science. Okay.
All right, 2 successes.
All right. Let's see if Ujesa generates any momentum for you. Survey says she does not. Okay. So yeah, you, Captain, as you receive the information from Ujesa, you begin trying to set up this sort of algorithm / matrix in the computer. Go ahead and roll me 2 challenge die plus your science, so a total of 5 challenge die. Okay. So you achieve a breakthrough because of 5. So yeah, you get the matrix so that the fact it is able to translate at least a partial amount of the language. However, it is still in a form that is not audible. So to do your next extended task, or part of the extended task, would be to try and get the matrix to print it out in something you could either read or you could understand audibly.
All right, let's go for another round. Do we want to spend momentum?
I'm down for it.
Right, let's just do one.
Ooh, I see green. All right. Yeah, so you get a momentum. And then does Ujesa give any further momentum is the question. She still does not. Poor Ujesa.
She's real bad at this.
Yeah.
She needs a Rectojinko.
All right, so Captain, since you did succeed again, so the one thing I will say here, and I might be mixing up determination with momentum, but you can spend momentum to re-roll those 3 zeros.
I can and will. So I'll roll 3 challenge dice to replace the 3 zeros.
Mm-hmm.
How much momentum does that cost?
I believe
Just
it's
one.
just the one.
Yeah.
Alright.
So we should be down to 1 momentum, I think.
Yes.
I had this at 2, but that's fine.
Yeah,
That's
it was
real good,
Yeah,
actually.
it was either 1 or 2.
I had 3.
So that's 8 work.
That's 8 work. So yeah, that actually will complete the task. So you are able to, with your innate knowledge of your days operating the equivalent of a ham radio across subspace, you will be able to complete the matrix. And sure enough, you now are able to hear at least some of what Ujesa picked up. And the gist of the conversation is between the 2 bugs. And the conversation is something along the lines of, I'm so glad you're safe. Do you know what these aliens are? No, they don't look like hunters to me. Well, let's observe them. Let's see what they're about. As long as they're not hunters, they're okay by me. And so you have one-way communication at this point. The next task is you have to come up with some way to do the reverse. And while you're mulling that over, why don't we take our break? So be back in about 5 minutes, so at 5:26. All right, I'm back.
Alright, I am back as well.
Welcome back.
Are we on Twitch live during the break as well?
Yeah, I mean, I have thought about like cutting the stream during break or setting up some kind of intermission screen, but because of the way I have the Discord overlay done in OBS, I found that switching to an intermission screen kind of messes it up a little bit. But if we ever have like an extended break, I might actually pop up a quick BRB on the screen. I'm very much a novice streamer. I am doing the bare minimum to keep us afloat, kind of a thing.
Back.
Welcome back.
I like how they're just talking like, ooh, he has nice stick figures.
Yeah, that's basically what it was all about. Yeah, they were like, I have no idea what these aliens are saying.
Oh man, yeah, that'd be a fun conversation to listen to in its entirety.
Damn Q showing up. Although, to his credit, he gave us a new bridge.
Yeah, so out of character, Crowley found a much better bridge, and I was like, you guys are just going to have this bridge.
I still wanted to act the Cisco protocol for dealing with Q.
Punch him in the face?
I punch him in the face.
Well, I now know what Tahan will do when he meets Q, because I didn't know that beforehand.
I just like Crowley's like, no, you gotta wait. I gotta finish my report.
Yeah, that was clutch. And honestly, that is the most effective way of dealing with Q that I've found in the series.
Just ignore him.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Matic, are you back? I saw that your mute went off.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. So yeah, let's jump back in. Since you guys did the extended task rather quickly, I'll let you do another couple rolls of the new extended task before we cut back to the away team. So again,
Excellent.
The idea here is you're now trying to come up with a way to encode what you say and transmit it back as a burst of tetryon radiation. So this will involve, obviously, again, your subspace communications focus. This would involve someone from engineering, and more than likely, you might have to call up Matic to help you with this.
Yeah, I was going to ask Matic to come up to help me with finishing the device.
Yeah, I can do that, Captain. I guess when to beam up?
Yep. So, Matic, you get beamed on up to the Arcadia, and you quickly find your way to the lab where all this is going on. So, the extended task here is a pretty hefty one. The base difficulty is 4. The default task is Reason plus Engineering. And it's a magnitude of 4. So it's pretty hefty unless you can come up with some good technobabble that would maybe suffice for, how to manipulate the tetryon radiation.
Okay, but from a rules perspective, Maddox going to get his engineering focus, right? Or his engineering ability to advantage is what's called.
Yes, he would indeed have that.
Right,
Would
so-
the ship's computers be helping us?
For this, I would say they would be able to do at least statistical models. So yes, I'll allow the Arcadia to assist with computers and science. Or no, rather,
Right.
computers and engineering.
Who would like to do the rolling for the computer, for the ship, since I will be assisting Matic?
Sure, I'll volunteer.
All right.
Matic, do you have an applicable focus?
quantum mechanics.
I'm gonna say no, just because we use that one a lot. So
That's why I have it.
I can't give you all the focuses, unfortunately.
Do you have experimental tech?
Yeah, experimental tech would apply.
I guess. I mean, we use alien engineering technology more. No, I don't have a focus that would apply.
I've got a pretty. I mean, obviously my engineering's only 3, but I do have the subspace communications focus. I don't know if that's better for leading the task versus assisting. But my, was it control engineering or reason engineering?
Reason engineering.
That did 13 for me, which is fair.
And I think, Matic, you have, what, a 15 or a 16?
In reason engineering, it'd be a 14.
Okay, so it's pretty close.
So if we want to give up just a little bit less likely to get the roll, but more likely to get crits, I could lead instead of assist.
Sounds like a plan to me. I'll say then, the engineering, like the chief engineer focus, that lets him re-roll or have the advantage. Yeah, it is the advantage. I always get them mixed up. So.
Oh, but what about I know Matic might have a talent that comes into play for extended tasks, and I do not.
Technical expertise.
What does that one do?
Whenever I attempt a task assisted by the chip's computers or sensors, I re-roll a d20.
Oh yeah. That would.
Oh, that'll help on the first part, but so either way, we're going to generate a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I guess we get started.
Okay. So yeah, let's. I think to get you guys in the most optimum situation, let's have Matic lead and the captain assist. And
because you'll generate more work.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe Rasho is rolling for the computers plus science for the ship.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and roll, and let's see what comes out.
All right, so I'm assisting, so I'm just rolling 1 die.
That is correct. And hey, you guys all together get the 4 you need. So, Matic, you begin to try and... go ahead.
Does that generate 1 momentum with his advantage?
It would indeed. Thank you for reminding me. Because Matic is leading, the base difficulty is 3, not 4. Thank you. Matic, you begin to set up a rudimentary device that would be able to encode whatever you're saying to these alien entities. Your first thought is to maybe hook up a portable phase coil resonator, but let's see how well you do in your work track before I say anything else. So that would be 2 plus your engineering score, which would be 6 total.
6.
And you do have momentum if you'd like to re-roll those 3 zeros.
Sure, why not?
Hey, you got enough, so you get a breakthrough. Sure enough, hooking up this phase coil resonator will indeed begin to show promising results. But the issue now is trying to shrink down the technology. Right now, the basic device you have is very unwieldy and is more or less the size of a football. So at this point, you're trying either to refine the technology or shrink it down. Go ahead.
Knowing how it's working,
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way that I could adjust like a comm badge to do it?
I'm going to say
Or
that
even like a tricorder?
yeah, I was going to say that a tricorder would be your best bet. But depending on how you continue to complete this extended task, you might be able to do it to a comm badge as well. So yeah, let's get another roll all around, and we'll see how we are after this.
Another reason engineering across the board?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Okay, so we got 1, 0. Can the Arcadia save us? No, it cannot.
I'm going to re-roll, I guess, the 17 I got.
Okay.
Oh, right, and his technical expertise.
Yep. All right,
Yeah.
you got enough. Actually, you critted, so you get a momentum too. Nice. So you start to scale down the technology, and go ahead and roll the work track. So again, 6 challenge die.
Before we roll the work track, do we
Yes.
want to create an advantage so the effects are actually give us a bit of a bonus?
That is a good idea, but I found the re-rolling of zeros to be a really effective momentum spend.
Okay.
And also, you can do that as many times as you need to.
As long as we have momentum.
Right.
Yeah.
Which right now is 3.
Yes.
So, I'll roll the work.
I was wondering how to get triumphant. I think that's what gets you effects.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you're at 4. Do you want to re-roll those 3s? 3 zeros.
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So momentum 2. And let's see what pops up. Hey, you get enough. So, at
So
this...
this is 11 total work.
Yes, it does. So at this point, as you scale down the technology, you... I'm trying to figure out how to say this. You think you have a very basic understanding between the matrix that was generated previously and the resonator that you now have created. So now what you need to do is test if the resonator is putting off a frequency that the universal translator can then translate back. You're kind of like checking your own work, if that makes any sense.
I don't need to do that. I'm confident enough.
But let's do what might possibly be the last reason plus engineering all around, and we'll see what happens. All right, strong start with a 2. And a 3. That's all you need. So yeah.
Can I just re-roll that 19 just because there's a chance we might get momentum off it?
Yeah, why not? I'll let you do it.
But if I roll a complication, I'm getting rid of this talent immediately. Just to let y'all know.
Just one Q.
Fuck, okay.
It's not a complication. That's the good news. So yeah, go ahead and roll the work track, and we will... you might very well complete the task right here and there, which would be great for moving forward. Okay.
4.
Um,
Enough, or do I need to roll the zeros?
I would say yes, you would need to re-roll the zeros here if you wanted to finish the work track and complete it at the same time. You literally need 1 more challenge die to do it.
Wait, you can also just spend a momentum to add 1 to work. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the safer option. I don't think getting extra work actually means anything.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll just do that then.
Okay. So yeah, sure enough, you are able to establish the fact, best you can tell anyway, that the tetryon radiation, you have its like the conversation, you run it again through the matrix. Then you experiment with translating it back into the speech of the alien bugs, and it seems everything checks out. And since you guys succeeded so well, I'm going to say that it would be a trivial engineering task, a control or daring plus engineering at a difficulty of 1 to outfit a comm badge with this sort of technology. Otherwise, you can just more or less put it into a tricorder, and the tricorder would suffice.
I'm gonna be fancy and try to do it in our comm badges.
Okay.
So you said control engineering?
Or daring plus engineering, yep.
2.
And don't forget, since you have the ship's advantage, I believe it's only a 0 for you.
All right.
All right, momentum. So, yeah, Matic, you are able to retrofit, we'll say 5 comm badges with this technology. You would just have to beam back down, and hand them out as needed.
I'm also gonna go grab the pattern enhancers before I beam back down, and then Matic to Crowley.
Crowley here.
Did you want anyone to come back down with me, or do you think we're good, just the 3 of us?
We should also grab Dory as well.
Sir. And then I'll make my way to medbay. Hey, Dure, feel like going down to the planet?
I have no objections. Is there something that requires my medical expertise?
Possibly. We are about to go into some caverns, and we may need your assistance if case something happens. But also probably get your opinion on these bugs that are all over the place.
Certainly. I will meet you in transporter room 1.
All right.
Do you guys want me to run Dore, or I could do a Jasa again or something?
You want to run Dory?
Sounds good.
Give your throat a little break from the Klingon voice.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
I
would.
might have started getting a little franky towards the end.
Tubular.
I would do a voice for Ujasa, but I like being able to speak. So yeah. Dore and Matic beam right back down to the salt flat with pattern enhancers in tow and the freshly upgraded comm badges, which are then kind of passed around. And yeah, I think the idea was you guys were going to head to the cavern next, but I wanted to be sure.
Yeah,
I wanted to talk with the commander real quick.
Okay.
Captain to Commander.
Commander here.
After reviewing the recorded conversation from Ujasa's tricorder, it appears that the insectoid creatures were referring to another alien species as the Hunters. So I would like to tell you that your earlier theory was almost certainly correct, and I'll be sending you down a text version of that conversation for your own records, but I thought that you should know that going forward.
If we have a possible hostile encounter here, I would actually like to grab one more person then. And if you're all right with it, I'd like it to be Andromeda.
I think that would be okay if she agrees. At the same time, sorry, I lost it. Yes, I'll go ask her now.
So she actually hasn't left the bridge. She's very content to have sat in Crowley's seat this whole time.
Sure thing. What did she say?
She, hearing all this, says, sure, I would be happy to go along and provide whatever insight you might think I'd be able to provide.
Okay. I only ask you extend the same courtesy that we gave you when we first met you.
Of course, though granted I'm no diplomat, but I think there's a saying that I came across when learning your language that you learn by doing.
Absolutely. And if you're nervous, feel free to just take the role of an observer.
Of course. All right. So,
Go
ahead.
Real quick. Before I beam down, so does the captain and Crowley have this conversation before I beam down or after?
We'll say after. After.
Okay. Because I didn't know if, like, oh, hey, there's possibly some people who hunt these bugs. We might want to grab, like, a phase rifle or two.
Well, you would have been with... I guess you didn't hear that conversation. I mean, I can send Andromeda down with those if that's something you guys want.
Just remember that phaser rifles are an escalation.
Although, at the same time, we've not trained Andromeda in use of our rifles. Like, obviously, we know she's probably more of a badass than we are, but I am not equipping her with something that we have not trained her with.
I feel that a phase rifle would be better in like a corridor along a range with a cavern that potentially could be narrow. Trying to get up a rifle might be too restrictive. So the Type 1s, Type 2s phasers should be fine.
Right.
And to be clear, I want Andromeda to know the risks of her going down without a phaser, and if she's okay with that before she goes down.
Oh, most certainly, Captain. I may not look it, but this suit has its tricks, as it were.
Very well. Hopefully, you won't have to be using too many of those.
Again, you can't really see it, but she's smiling under her mask.
You
Crowley
should give her like an LED, like emoticon face to go over the mask.
I mean,
give her a whiteboard. Whenever she smiles, she draws it on there and holds it in front of her.
I'm just thinking like the Daft Punk like costume mask.
Oh dear. See, it's great because when Crowley's there, he's able to sense it, but since he's not there, Oh dear. All right, so let's go ahead and proceed to the cave scene. So I'll move you guys. Actually, same map, just lower on it. As you all materialize, you see that you are on the edge of a vast cavern. Brilliant flashes of these kaleidoscopic lights assault your eyes almost immediately. The lights seem to be emitted by these crystals that are in dozens of outcroppings. And as you try to squint your eyes and see in these flashes of light, you can see that there's these motionless shapes of the same large insect-like creatures that you encountered up in the desert. It's hard to get an exact number of how many there are, but you're guessing there's probably hundreds of these creatures in the chamber. Strangely, the place is eerily quiet, but given how the creatures communicate, it could very well be a cacophony.
As a doctor, Dore would probably want to make sure that the radiation levels here aren't too great. I know that it takes a huge amount, but I don't know if these crystals are like way reflective or something.
Roll me a insight plus medicine at a difficulty of 1.
And while I do that, I did interrupt Matic, so I'm sorry.
I was just about to say I want to scan the crystals to see what their properties are.
Okay. So Matic, you can roll me a insight plus science or engineering. I'll let you do either.
All right. There's no way of a focus that applies.
1 success for Dore.
Hey, and you guys get a momentum from Matic.
All right.
So Dore, radiation levels are fine. Nothing to be concerned about unless you attempt to literally go up and start eating a crystal. Matic.
Dory will communicate that fact in exactly the way you did.
Never show wants to eat a crystal.
And that is how the party died, by eating crystals on an unknown planet. Um,
It was
Actually,
known.
Yeah, let's smoke
It's a
these
known
crystals
planet.
real quick. That'll go. That's out of context.
oh yeah.
Don't do drugs, kids.
All right, so sorry, Matic. I literally lost my train of thought. What was it you were after again?
I just wanted to scan the crystals' properties.
Okay.
Kind of learn a little bit about them. See if there's anything that we've come across. If there's anything in the database like them, or if this is like a new thing.
So they are crystals of pure Solanogen, and you're guessing
What now?
that the crystals are providing the optimum sort of environment for these creatures to exist in.
I don't remember if this ever came up, but if we turn off this power, is that going to affect like these bugs?
You don't know.
How would I know?
Well, you'd have to get to the power source and check things out there, but the power source is different location than this.
Yeah.
But a bone I will throw you guys is that Richaud, with your newly activated and translating comm badge, you're going to be able to pick up with your... Well, I guess Crowley, you'd hear this too, because both of you have those keen ears. There's some chittering about the new arrivals in the creature's cavern. And it's almost like a whisper that goes back and forth. And it's like, who are they? Why are they here? Are they the hunters? No, they can't be the hunters. Well, should we try and say hello? Well, I'm not going to go say hello. If you want to, go right ahead.
I'll look to her show and I'll move forward, and I'll just say, we mean you no harm. We're friendly. We're explorers. We're from the ship, the USS Arcadia. We come in peace.
One of the bugs will, and you'll still see the light show kind of illuminate them. One of the bugs will kind of skitter on down from the ceiling and more or less be the representative of his species in this instance. And he says, well, hello, visitor from the Arcadia. Where is your home?
I have three, in a weird way. We're not from your planet. We're from beyond.
In the stars, you mean?
Yes.
We too are from the stars, though perhaps not in a way you might understand it. We come from a place outside of space and time.
Oh. That's fascinating.
How did you find yourselves to be here?
Well, the bug creature kind of turns to Richaud and says, centuries ago, as my people have passed down in stories, our home plane of existence experienced a prolonged period of turbulence, and we sought refuge here on this planet by passing through a spatial tear that the planet's core was creating. And for the longest time, passage between our native realm and this planet was free and without restriction.
Interesting.
Something-
And who are these hunters that you mentioned?
So, Crowley, you're going to sense either something between annoyance and anger, but obviously it's not going to come across in voice form. And the creature says, when the hunters arrive to hunt us Opterons, and I will spell that out because, I butcher names. Yeah. When they came, everything changed. The hunters closed the spatial tear and trapped all of us on this planet. They then began trying to harvest us for... Honestly, we don't know. There are speculation in stories that maybe they are using our emissions as a potential energy supply.
Well,
That's horrifying.
we were able to free one of your kind earlier today. They molted into flying creatures then.
Then you must have met a mature Opteron. We here in the cavern are about to actually metamorphize ourselves and head to the surface.
Do you know where the hunter's base of operation is?
I do not know for sure where the base of operations might be, but there is a object, a bit of their technology that we discovered decades ago in the network of tunnels that we maintain. We haven't used such tunnels for quite some times because we didn't know what this technology did. But I would be happily able to pinpoint the direction you need to go to reach this place.
Yes, I would. My people would like to help you.
Of course. I get the sense that you are explorers like us.
We are. We also like to help when we can as well. And we believe that entrapment, enslavement, or capture is wrong. And these hunters are not native to this world, and they're interfering with your own life cycle. So, we want to make sure that these hunters stop bothering you.
Well, we would be happy to provide whatever assistance you need in that matter. But here, let me draw you a map. And the Opteron begins to scratch out something in the rock face. And simply because I don't want to cause this to be a roll that could be misconstrued, you're able to get the basic coordinates for this location in the tunnels. Okay. You think you'd be able to transport in, but to go out you would need the pattern enhancers.
Alright. Are we able to transport out now?
If you wanted to.
Alright. Basically we'll just do a piggyback. We'll beam up and then beam right back down. Okay. I'll leave a communicator with them.
Okay, so you put down a communicator, and the bug just kind of looks at it questioningly. Well, what is this?
It's a way you can speak with us. I'm actually going to give him the one that I have, the one that was given to me.
Okay.
So it will still translate, and I just show him, like, if you tap it lightly, you can reach our ship and communicate with us.
Okay. It considers where to put this on its body simply because, insect legs can't really slap their face or their chest kind of a thing. And it eventually kind of settles on what would be their equivalent of a nose so that the tentacles around the mouth can kind of go up and touch it.
I think we broke the captain.
Yeah, I think we broke him.
Just a delta on their face. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm dead. I'm crying. I'm okay.
So yeah, it obviously looks a little silly, but it's functional, and that's what matters.
So you said you made 5. There's 4 of us. Does Andromeda have one as well, or does she not have one?
She was just given a tricorder, we'll say.
Okay. I'll look schematic. Like, can I get the spare one, please?
Yeah. Are you gonna give it away again?
No.
Okay. I just want to know if I need to make some more real quick.
We may have to make more in the future, but for now, I'll just take this one. We're just gonna give the one away.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'll let them know that we're just going to beam up, and then we're going to go to this location they pointed out to us.
Okay. So, before you do begin to beam away, Andromeda actually steps forward and kind of takes a knee before this creature, and she says, "These hunters, do you know what they are capable of?" And the creature responds, "They come down in a black swarm of ships and capture us in these force fields that we are unable to break free of. They do so every 74 years, and we have adapted as a species since being trapped here to almost flee the planet en masse after we mate and lay our eggs in order to try and escape the hunters." And Andromeda just kind of nods at this and kind of looks back at Crowley and says, "If it's all right with you, I'd like to actually stay with these groups and see if I can learn anything new."
If you feel like you want to, that should be fine.
Rochelle's gonna ask one of the upturns.
Mm-hmm.
Why every 74 years? What's that? What is the significance of that? Do you know?
I simply that might simply just be our life cycle on this plane. We obviously did not choose the specific time span, but all we know is that our young arrive and begin turning into mature adults and taking to the skies and the heavens every 74 years.
Okay, so your life cycle matches up with the hunters.
Correct.
If we were able to reopen this rift, would your kind want to go back through?
Oh, most definitely. Our finding a way back home is something so instinctual to us that it's almost nearly impossible to resist the urge to find a similar rift, if not a way to reopen the one that brought us here in the first place.
Okay.
Is that why you leave the planet when you mature, or is that for other reasons?
Well, when we mature and after we mate and lay eggs, we attempt to escape this planet and explore the cosmos for further spatial tears, but obviously that's when the hunters come, so our only defense against them has been the multitude. And he says something that doesn't really translate, but Andromeda kind of cocks her head to the side and fills in the gap and says, "I think he means safety in numbers."
Okay. Well, we'll make sure to do our best to try and help you, and also to see if we can get you back home.
That again we would be in your debt.
I looked at Andromeda, and I give her my normal comm badge, not the one modified one, but the normal one.
Okay.
So she can communicate with us on the ship.
Okay.
I was like, this way you can keep in touch with us, and if you need to get back to the ship, just tap that and ask for a beam up.
I will do so, and thank you for letting me observe.
No problem. Thank you for coming along.
She'll nod her head respectfully. And let's go ahead and have you now beam out, unless anyone has any last minute things. Oh, go ahead.
I sent you a message, but I guess you haven't seen it yet. With the
I would say the answer to that question is no.
Okay. Is there a way that I could still cultivate the crystals just so we can learn more about the Soligen and because I'm assuming it's not very commonly found in this crystal form?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Since it is like tetryons, it usually only comes from subspace. If you would like to take a sample of the crystal, you certainly may.
Yeah, I would like to take a sample, uh, or yeah, take a few samples and then just kind of like, oh yeah, for science.
Okay. All right. So after you resolve all of this, the transporter beams you up and then beams you right back down. And just to kind of keep track of who's where, I'm going to move you guys lower on the map, and we'll keep Andromeda up so that we know where everyone is. Go ahead.
GM, I had a similar question for you. I sent it to you on Discord.
Oh God! All right, let me look at Discord.
I just did that.
I would say no, unless Crowley says that's the case.
On the beam up, I'll quickly relay information to the captain of that this is the second species we've encountered that's not native to their planet they live on, and let them know too that they're being targeted and hunted for possible biological uses.
Okay, where's Andromeda?
She stayed back with the Upterrans to communicate with them more. I did leave her with a comm badge for her to get back in touch with us.
Okay, I'm going to send down some security personnel to join her in case she needs any help. Crowley will know, however, I'm lying. I'm doing it because I don't trust Andromeda yet.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm assuming probably Los and Rouge, yeah?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
And on it, like their instructions are just to go down there and not really do anything, just make sure everything goes well.
Hang out, do whatever Andromeda needs of them, that sort of thing. I gotcha.
Yeah, and they'll just have the tricorder devices for the communication.
Okay. All right. So the other four of you, Rochelle, Matic, Dore, and Crowley, you beam into a pitch black cavern. And when you activate your lights and begin to look around, you see that there is something protruding from the ceiling at an odd angle. Rochelle and Matic, you would be able to tell after a few moments of looking that it appears to be the damaged hull of a small metallic craft. The canopy of the craft is open, and the two seats inside are empty at the moment.
Can I tell how long it's been here?
I would say you could try a insight plus engineering. Difficulty 2.
Okay. I'm guessing I don't have a focus. Because I'm not accessing the ship, right? Or am I?
I don't know. That is a thing. Would you try and access the ship and do it that way?
Does the ship have power?
Yeah, actually, as Rochelle and Matic, as you guys get closer and start to check out the craft, you see that it has very minimal power available. Powering up the craft completely is out of the question, but if you did a little bit of work, you could probably access the logs and the briefings just fine.
All right.
To conserve power, can we say interface a pad with the ship so it's the pad is drawing doing the most of the heavy lifting and we're not sucking too much power out of the ship itself?
Yeah, I gotcha. I would say that would be a daring plus engineering at a difficulty of 2, and Rochelle, you can certainly assist with this. Because I'm assuming you would have Matic do the whole connection.
Yeah, if it's going to be an engineering thing, that would probably be more his wheelhouse than mine.
And alien technology would apply.
Okay. Because I was going to do either alien technology or power systems, because we're trying to save power.
Right. Nah, not either one.
Oh, shit.
Ooh.
Damn it, Q.
Do you want to maybe use determination to re-roll that?
Do it.
Yeah, I have to. Or I can either do it now, or I can.
Wait, what talents do you have?
Field medicine, technical expertise. I know my ship, dauntless, and resolute.
Yeah, I don't think any of those are going to apply, unfortunately.
I should have ordered him to check it. That way we could do the advisory.
Let me look at Maddox's sheet.
You did
Let's see if
order
I
me,
can help you
right?
out.
Right, Crowley? You did order me, right?
Right? Or check out the computer.
Just standing orders. Do whatever makes the most sense at the time.
I mean,
Look,
As
determination's
long as you
probably
don't blow
fine.
anything up, do whatever you want.
so Maddox, looking at your values here, you understand technology better than people. So if you would like to use your determination here, you could re-roll that entire check.
Yeah, I guess I kind of need to.
Determination is there to be spent. It's not like we don't get it back. In fact, if the commander, the commander has the option of spending momentum, so you can keep your determination after spending it.
Oh yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
And also, can he give his captains and commanders have an ability that allow them to mess around with other people's determination?
They do, yes. I think it is. I think it's like one. Let me look.
I can just give my determination to someone else. I don't remember off the top of my head how the XO works.
So the XO, if the character in communication with the executive officer spends a point of determination, the executive officer may spend 3 momentum to let that character regain the spent point of determination. So if you wanted to give the point of determination right back, you would have to spend 3 momentum.
And how much momentum do we currently have?
2, unless there was a scene change.
Technically there was, but since you're so low, I'll let you keep it.
I mean, it would just mean adding a threat as opposed to spending. Yeah, seeing as we don't have enough momentum to spend, but I assume we can do 2 momentum and 1 threat, or,
Yeah.
I mean, we don't necessarily need to gain the determination back, or, I don't know, there's options.
Yeah, I'm fine with any spends or no spends.
We could also just say, hey, GM, you get 3 threat. Keep the momentum for ourselves, too.
I do like this idea of just, piling on the threat, so to the point where it's just useless.
Yeah, challenge him to use it.
Yeah, to be honest, I dumped a lot of my threat on the extended tasks, so I would welcome more threats.
Ah, see? We've been crushing. I'm fine with spending the 3 momentum so he gets to keep the 3 threats so he gets the determination back.
Okay.
Alright, cool. And I can assist with that roll. Since...
Yeah, let's see if your assist gives you a momentum.
Can I order him to do better so I can assist too?
Sure, why not?
Alright. And so was it going to be daring and engineering for Rochelle as well?
I would say daring for engineering for you as well. Crowley, yours is going to be insight and command.
Alright.
And the computer's focus is going to apply, I hope.
Yes, it would.
Sweet.
And
it does not matter. Okay.
Can my composure focus help him, like, breathe? Think everything over?
As a good of a plea as that is, I'm going to say no.
Okay.
It's a nice calming presence, It inspires confidence in us all.
Alright. Well,
not that much confidence, though.
The good news is with the determination reroll, Maddox got what you needed. So I'm going to give you guys this last bit of information before we do a scene change. And that's how we'll wrap up the session, kind of a thing. So the logs that you pull are audio entries that are easily deciphered by the universal translator. You hear a pair of aliens talking about belonging to the Cavian Expeditionary Force. Their mission was to travel to a shielded installation near the planet's core and perform maintenance over 74 years ago. However, they struck a cluster of solanogen crystals and got stuck. And as you kind of look, you see that there's a broken laser drill kind of at the forefront of this craft. The entries grow more and more desperate as they start to panic and try to call for help. And it gets to the point where the last log is of them opening the cockpit and wandering out into the tunnels. In addition, you are actually able to pull up their mission briefing. And their mission briefing, best as you can read, is that they are to, once they arrive at the core facility, is to strengthen the link between 4 captive Opterans that are powering the shielded facility near the core. The Cavians have been using the core facility to trap the Opterons on the planet by injecting bursts of polaron radiation directly into the planet's core, which cancels out the subspace properties of the planet's core. And perhaps the most important information is that you get the shield modulation for the facility in question.
Good to know.
And then,
so
go ahead.
torpedoes away, right?
So I have a comment.
Mhm.
I don't know how far is left in this mission, but if we are close and we're ending, for my sake, I actually do have like another hour or two.
Oh, if you've got another hour, then we're good.
Sweet.
Yeah. But we'll still do it this way. So as you guys come across this information, back up in space, and I'll temporarily put you guys on this map. So Tahan, you're kind of sitting on the bridge, you're waiting for reports to come in, and then suddenly, without warning, a massive cargo ship of alien configuration enters orbit and opens hailing frequencies. When it comes up on the view screen, there's a very stern-looking woman with large, widely spaced eyes and a set of what would be, in your mind, military-grade armor. And she says, "I am Captain Sharma Kaladak, commander of the collection vessel KES Koflagrin of the Kavian Expeditionary Force. This planet belongs to Kavia. You will return any Kavian property on your vessel and will withdraw from the system immediately. We will tolerate no interference with our harvest." And before you can even reply, the communication is cut, and I guess Ujasa, since she's back on the ship, Ujasa kind of turns in her seat and says, "Captain, I'm detecting dozens and dozens of shuttles being sent down to the planet's surface. And also, possibly of note, sir, the technology of the Cavians, as I'm assuming they are, all of it is powered by tetryons."
Fire a warning shot and open hailing frequencies.
Aye, sir.
In
And
that order.
as she goes to press the button to do so, Q literally appears on her console. And it's kind of in one of those paint me like your French girl kind of poses. And he says, "Oh, I didn't think that you humanoids had it in you to fire first and ask questions later. But I suppose when you have a Klingon..."
Shut up, Q!
"Oh, Captain's a little testy. Well then, I guess I'll just..."
Jasa, carry out your orders.
Jasa has to kind of move around Q and
The naked Q.
No, he's not naked, thank God. He more or less does, flash away as Ujasa is finally able to fire the warning shot. And the hailing frequency that you send to them is very quickly opened back up. And the woman says, "Was I not clear? This planet belongs to us, and you are to withdraw immediately."
I am Captain Tahan of the Federation starship Arcadia. You are attempting to enslave a sentient, intelligent life form, and I will not stand by to allow it. We have no property of yours aboard our vessel, but we do have crewmen aboard your planet who will be returning shortly. If you would like to discuss this in person, I do welcome you as a friendly guest.
Strange that a so-called friendly guest would fire a phaser across our bow.
But we did not strike it.
She looks, for sake of argument here, she looks like she is a pissed off Klingon, but some of your words seem to have reached her. She says, if you can provide evidence that these creatures are intelligent, I would be happy to review such information. However, if this information is not sufficient, we will be removing you from the system by force.
Understood. Sergeant Ujesa, begin playing files.
Okay.
Captain Kalilak, I believe you will find that the creature's tetryon is a form of the language which we have decoded since our arrival.
So Ujesa actually, she starts to go to play it, and she says, "Sir, perhaps it would be better if she or one of her crewmen would join us in person for this. It would help with the validity of the statements."
Captain, would you agree to come aboard my ship? I do ask that in return, you return your small craft back to your vessel.
That cannot happen, but I will step into one of my own shuttles and come over to your vessel.
Agreed, but in the interim, while you are unconvinced that the life forms on the planet are sentient, I would ask that you not collect any of them yet. A mere delay by maybe an hour.
She kind of waves about a baton that's in her hands this entire time, kind of almost like if you've played Half-Life 2, where the Combine just kind of tap their palms with the end of the baton. And she says, "I will be aboard your ship in 15 minutes. So yeah, 15 minutes pass, and Ujesa does the standard protocol of having security personnel, if not herself, escort the visitors up from the shuttle bay. And I'm assuming you're having this conversation in the conference room?
Yes, and in the interim, I will have communicated with my away team and let them know that the hunters have arrived, and we have tried to keep them from collecting the give them the whole spiel, the update.
Okay. All right. So the away team, you are kept in the loop. But let's resolve this scene with the captain. The woman who is Captain Kaladoc is brought into the conference room by Ujesa, along with who you are assuming is a subordinate of hers. He is in much less impressive armor and does not carry a baton. And Kaladoc just simply looks around and says, "My time here is brief. Present your information."
Of course, and I'll start leading the way to the conference room, and I will apologize rather briefly for the nature of my greeting, but explain that I felt it was necessary given the urgency of the situation.
She doesn't say anything, but eventually, in the conference room, and Ujesa starts to play what is essentially a picked recording of when the creatures were first met on that salt plain. And as this conversation plays, you're not really able to tell if Kaladoc's body language is changing in any way. She seems to be fairly resolute and statuesque. And after the bit of information from Ujesa finished playing, she looks to you, Captain, and says, "So you have been able to establish contact with these creatures?"
I have indeed. In fact, one of my away team members is currently communicating with some of these creatures under the surface as we speak. If you like, we could transport down and speak with them yourself, if you do not believe my recordings.
I am willing to believe that it would be in our best interests to assume you did not falsify these readings and recordings. However, I am troubled by this concept of transporting. How do you get around the tetryon radiation effects?
We don't have to. We don't use tetryons as a power source.
You don't? That is interesting.
No, for our power, we use a combination of matter-antimatter reaction and fusion technologies.
That is most interesting.
I'd be happy to share the details with you. I take it you, our sensors indicated that you are possibly powering your equipment off of tetryon particles?
Yes, our entire empire, such as it is powered by tetryons. And we occasionally come to this planet to harvest the creatures, which are a near limitless and infinite source of the energy.
I will give you the benefit of the doubt and assume that you did not know that these creatures were sentient.
She looks to her subordinate and says, "You, out." And the subordinate will leave and be let off by one of the extra security personnel that's waiting outside. And once it is just yourself, Ujesa, and the captain, she kind of does that pose where she puts her elbows on the table, elbows on the table, and leans in and almost "here's my cards" kind of a thing. And she says, "I am not blind to the suffering of the Opterons, as you have communicated their species name. I find it perhaps a little abhorrent that we use them as living energy sources. However, without them, our empire would not be as large or as capable as it is today."
Captain Kaladok, correct?
That is correct.
I understand the situation that we have put you in, and if there's any way that we could help you find an alternative power source, or perhaps you could simply ask the Opterans now that we can give you the technology to communicate with them. Perhaps they would be able to help you power your ships without being enslaved. I'm sure they would. I can't guarantee anything because we've not asked them, but they might be willing to help if it means not becoming captured.
That would be a reasonable compromise. Have one of these Opterans brought up, and we shall talk.
Just a moment. Captain to Andromeda.
Andromeda here? What can I do for you, sir?
I have one of the hunters the Opterans have spoken of who would wish to speak with one of the Opterans. If any of them are willing to be transported up to our ship so they communicate with this captain, please let me know.
Well, as luck would have it, sir, I followed I guess the word would be stampede of the Opterons as they emerged from their caves and began molting and converting into adults on the planet's surface. The one that was speaking to us before has allowed me to call him the human name of Jeffrey. Jeffrey would be willing to communicate with you and any other interested party.
Okay, and is he willing to be transported to the Arcadia?
I honestly don't know how to say that, sir. I have no idea what a transport involves.
It is the method by which we... Oh, she hasn't come up yet, has she?
Well, I mean, she's beamed down, but she doesn't understand, like, the intricacies of how it works.
I can ensure them that it is a safe process and that they can be returned as easily as they arrive.
You hear her kind of muffled off the audible channel, and she says, "This seems acceptable to Jeffrey. I guess beam us up is the phrase.
All right, we will meet you in the transporter room. How will we get a lock on Jeffrey?
Well, sir, he has a comm badge on what would be the equivalent of his nose.
Understood. We will meet you in the cargo bay. Captain Kolodok, if you will, and I'll lead the way.
All right, so she stands and goes with you. And the timing is such that you guys arrive in the cargo bay as the creature known as now Jeffrey materializes alongside Andromeda. And it's kind of not quite a standoff, but there is kind of a bit of tension immediately, evident both in the Opteron and in the Cavian as they kind of look at one another.
My name is Captain Athos Tahan from the Federation Starship Arcadia. I'm aware that you have a less than ideal history with the Cavians, but she's willing to speak with you. She wants to have a better relationship with your people and your species. And she does come here under my protection and peace, as I will agree to provide yours.
I see, says Jeffrey. And there's a pause where you start to think that maybe the universal translator isn't working because the lights are still flashing. But eventually the translator kind of picks back up. If these hunters will allow us to return to our homeland, our home realm, then we would be willing to return every 74 years and enhance the crystals that they would be then able to use based on what I know of their technology. And Kolodok kind of thinks about this for a moment and says, "This is an acceptable compromise. However, we would need to deactivate the core facility in order for that to happen."
What core facility would that be, Captain?
Before the captain can respond, Jeffrey actually kind of cuts her off, and he says, "There is a facility near the core of the planet which dampens the natural spatial tear that forms. As far as I am aware, 4 of my fellows are powering the facility. If you are able to free those 4, then I believe we can come to this arrangement."
Captain Kolodok?
This would be acceptable.
Okay. Captain to away team.
And we cut back to the away team. So yeah, away team, you would hear all of this. More or less.
That's what he gets told.
Which I assume you guys are already heading to, but I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, okay, Captain. It's good to know that we're working on peace. We're actually heading to this facility as we speak.
Interjection. I'd like to interject real quick. Let the this is in character. Let the captain. Let the other captain know, the hunter, know that there was a crew of what, 2-3 people sent?
2
of her people sent here to repair the central whatever dampening emitter they have. And as far as I could tell, they didn't succeed. So there's a possibility that there might be something else going on.
Captain Kolodok, could you hear that?
I could hear that indeed. While the loss of crewmen is unfortunate, when we last came to this planet, everything was functional as it was when we left.
Can her scans tell if everything's still working just fine, or?
The captain just kind of says, "The fact that the Opterons are still here should be evidence enough."
She says it's still working within parameters.
All right, sounds good. Recover bodies, or just what do you want us to do if we find their bodies?
If you find them, mark them so that we can transport them aboard. Otherwise, proceed with your mission. Apparently, the central facility is being powered by 4 captive Opterons. If we can, let's free them as well.
Is there just like an off switch, or does she have like executive commands for me to put in?
Captain, do you have any codes or schematics we could use?
Yes, you may use the following code, and she gives you a verbal code.
All right, I'll send that down to Matic.
These Opterons, how long have they been powering the station in isolation?
Caladoc will respond, they have been powering it for many generations.
Is there a way we could have a couple of the species come down with us? I fear that them being isolated and used as batteries for so long, they're probably not going to be friendly to anyone except their own kind.
So Jeffrey will kind of speak up and says, I volunteered to go down. I seem to be the ambassador for my people at the moment.
All right, Jeffrey, we will transport you down to the location of the rest of our away team.
All right. So what happens is Jeffrey is beamed down to meet up with the 4 of you on the planet. And Jeffrey will then lead you to the core facility. And it's kind of like you round a corner in a cavern, and then you see these double doors that are almost sheer with the rock face. And when you approach and the doors open, you see inside what could be very well a large sort of engine room type thing. There is a large glowing core in the middle with rotating bands around it. But probably more interesting and important to you all is that spaced equidistant around the platform that surrounds this glowing core are 4 Opterons in force fields.
What do I feel in this room?
Mostly despair.
Oh, goodness. I quickly look for a console.
Okay, yeah, there are consoles here, and
Dora is immediately going to go start running scans on the battery Opterons.
okay. Let's resolve Dore first. So Dore, you go over, and Jeffrey comes with you, and you begin scanning the Opterons, and there's a very quick exchange between Jeffrey and the trapped Opteron, and it's more or less, don't worry, calm down, we'll get you out, everything will be fine. And then Jeffrey will run off to another Opteron and more or less repeat the same conversation. But Dore, I'd like you to roll me a Insight plus Medicine at a difficulty of 2.
Okay, I do have a focus in, or Dore has a focus in xenobiology.
That will apply.
How much momentum do we have?
I have a
think we're at
stagnant
2.
Should we use some for this difficulty 2 roll?
Yeah.
Okay. Insight medicine, correct?
Correct. I see green. So,
Okay, so we get that momentum back.
yeah, you get 2 momentum back, actually. Nice.
Oh, nice.
At 3.
So, Dore, you're going to be able to determine that the Opterons are more or less fine. They're just kind of really freaking annoyed that they've been confined for years and years and years. But probably the most important thing is that if you're not careful in how you shut down the facility, you might cause the death of these Opterons.
I will tell the commander and Jeffrey that pulling these opterons out will be dangerous, but I will do my best to save as many of them as possible.
I will communicate up to the ship and inform the captain that we need the proper shutdown sequence to safely extract the uptrons. Yeah.
I've given all the information that Captain Caladoc and I have to Lieutenant Maddock. Is there anything else that you need in addition to that?
As long as it's the proper shutdown, we should be good to proceed then.
All right.
And then with the captain, I'd probably find Counselor Neelan somewhere and try to hash out maybe any diplomatic. This I don't know if this needs to be like stuff with roles, but like I do want to smooth out tensions with the Captain Caladoc. And there's like diffuse the tension, and I assume Neelan's got a million things too.
Oh yeah. We'll say that you do the typical first contact between spacefaring race type deal while they're doing this.
After having fired on them.
Yeah, after having fired on them.
Would Maddock or Alon be aware that the captain's offered to give them some knowledge on the power systems we use? That way they could probably try to stop using the tetryons.
I don't think it's come up yet, but let's save that point for when we do come back to the captain.
All right.
So the way we're going to handle you guys powering down the facility is that it will be an escalating difficulty type thing. So the two tasks for this, and of course you can see if you can pitch your idea for a different one. The two I had in mind were daring plus science or daring plus medicine. And the first task will be at a 0, the second task will be at a 1, third will be 2, and the fourth will be 3. So it becomes progressively more difficult to extricate the opterons.
Okay, so for Dore, that's a 12 for the check, and he does have a relevant focus.
Mm-hmm.
Can I make a case to use engineering?
Sure, but it would still be daring plus engineering.
Yeah. But, just shutting down the force field, slowly shutting down everything, making sure that, nothing shuts down too quickly and the optotrons end up dying.
Right. And that's what the checks will represent, is how well you do that.
Okay. Alright, so, Maddock, do you want to lead the role, and then I will assist?
I will advise Maddock to start the shutdown procedure.
And then alien technology.
Mm-hmm.
So glad I picked that up.
And what's my assist roll for this?
Your assist roll would be daring plus command.
And that also means Maddock can reroll 1d20.
Yep.
I'm gonna reroll. Oh, is it all okay? So I know with technical expertise, it's any d20 that's including assist rolls.
Mm-hmm.
But like, let's say that the Dure had rolled a complication. If it's the advisor, can I reroll that one, or do I have to reroll one of the two I rolled?
I've been letting you do it, but I think it's only supposed to be yours.
Yeah, although this was the difficulty 0, right?
Yeah, this was the difficulty 0.
Oh, I just got a well,
crit.
still, but I just rerolled the 15, so I just got a crit. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes.
We're maxed out now.
Yeah, you're maxed out of momentum.
Yeah.
And we may
Can we use the surplus on our work results?
You could, but this isn't so much an extended task as it is just a kind of a gated challenge.
Let's use a surplus to create an advantage.
Yeah.
I've already done it one time, so I'm probably more comfortable with just repeating the process.
Mm-hmm.
That'd probably be the advantage I could create for engineering or.
Yeah, and we do have like all the proper codes and sequences and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I'll allow it. It will reduce the difficulty of tasks by 1 to a minimum of 1. So you now only really have to worry about 2 more difficulty 1 tasks, and then 1 difficulty 2.
All right.
So yeah, another round. Let's see how we do.
I advise him for step 2.
All right. So I already succeeded on that. So extra momentum. Here we go.
Yeah, at this
And
point,
there's a crit.
yeah, there's a crit. So, I think at this point, yeah, you have excess momentum at this point, and 2 of the Opterons at this point have been freed from the facility, and by this point, it is becoming noticeably more difficult, Matic, for you to keep control of the shutdown sequence. Like, as you power down systems and as the Opterons are removed, you're more or less causing brownouts with the system. So not
All right.
quite enough energy is going to where it should be.
Can I create, with the excess, can I create another advantage to where I move power that's in unnecessary systems to the core system, just to keep it up long enough to make sure that, we don't die?
I gotcha. I'll allow it. And for sake of argument and sake of time, I'll let you guys do 1 further check to free the remaining 2. And this will be the difficulty 2.
Still assisting.
Let's
Yep.
spend some momentum as well.
Oh,
Give me after my mouse just died.
Oh no, Q, what'd you do?
Alright.
So,
Right, so that's a success with a complication?
so
yes,
can I re-roll that 20?
You can
Yes,
roll
you
that
can.
20
Okay, I am re-rolling that 20.
in before. Okay, good.
Okay.
All right. So
We still got 2 successes though, so we're good.
yeah, you're good. So, yeah, you guys are able to free the remaining Opterons and shut down the core facility. And almost immediately, Jeffrey kind of excitedly proclaims, "It's forming! It's forming! We can finally go home!" And
We should probably get out of here while we still can.
yeah,
Yeah, that's the thing I was about to ask. Is it bad if we're this close to a spatial tear?
probably.
Yeah.
I hit my combat.
Show you haven't been doing anything. You've been setting up the pattern enhancers, right?
Sure.
Yes, we'll say that's what's going on.
Commander Crowley to Andromeda.
Go ahead.
What's your current position?
I'm back up on the ship, sir.
Oh, good. That's all. Thank you.
All right.
I assume we've also grabbed Rouge and Los.
Oh yeah, they went up with her.
Okay,
Your
cool.
sacrifice will be remembered.
Yay, Richards.
I
Yay,
looked at
Richards.
Jeffrey. I looked at Jeffrey.
All
I love
right.
his name. I am glad that our first contact could end in success like this. I am glad to have met your species, and I hope we're able to see each other again.
Well, in the event you would like to visit our realm, I would like to extend a invitation for you to visit it at your earliest wish.
I look forward to it.
And though we may now have an agreement with the hunters, the Cavians, every 74 years we will return to this place and give them the energy sources that they need. I believe it might be fruitful if we established formal diplomatic relations with your species.
We will make sure that a vessel is sent on out. Would it be another 75 years or 74 years from now before we can communicate again, or can we send out a vessel whenever and establish?
So long as the rift is left open, we will be able to come and go as we please.
Excellent.
I am sure that we can leave a few sentries here that a ship could then reach.
I will let my people know, and I look forward to continuing talks. But I think for our well-being, we must depart.
Of course, and again, you have done us a great service.
I hold out my hand just to see what he does.
He raises a claw.
I take his claw and I shake it.
Okay, he's very confused by this, but he lets it happen.
It's a form
You're
of
touching it.
it's a form of greeting.
Ah. That's all he says.
Take care, and I wait for everyone else to beam up first before I do.
Okay. So one really quick scene with the captain. As Matic brought up, or maybe it was Cho, maybe it was both of them. Sorry, my memory's a little bit faulty. Are you going to perhaps suggest or kind of muse that maybe you could help the Cavians with their whole tetryon energy problem?
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in assisting them within, within reason. Like, not do everything for them, but help their scientists develop their own versions of safe energy.
I see, I see. Would it be perhaps prudent for us to wait here, surrounding this planet, for whatever ship that might come with an ambassador?
Well, I'm not in any hurry to leave here immediately. Perhaps for the time being, my ship and yours can work together.
That would be acceptable. And yeah, just as a final note before we kind of do that camera zoom out type deal, Q will appear behind Captain Calidoc, and he'll have one of those foam fingers that says humans are number one, and he'll hold up a almost like this picket sign that says "Good job on not killing everything," and then he'll disappear again. Calidoc does not seem to have been aware that Q was behind her.
I do my best, but obviously, like, if she's paying attention, I'll be looking at something behind her, but I don't make a big fuss about Q showing up.
All right, so that's actually the end of the session. I'm surprised we actually got through it all. Stick around, obviously, you guys, for a little bit of after session stuff, but for the recording, see you guys later. Bye-bye.